Hi guys, welcome to yet another fun, exciting episode of PPJ. My name is Pumla, and in the room with me are the beautiful
Prima
and the almost handsome
Joe.
And in the background, we have princes and princesses. But the lead prince is
Alan.
Hi, Alan.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
You look quite good today. I wish that people could
Pumla,
see you.
Pumla.
If only they could.
Because you're married, your wife knows that you're the one on behind the scenes. Eh? I'm so sorry in advance. Okay, today it's an exciting topic, guys. As you can see, I'm sure already by the title of the episode, it's going to get raw, it's going to get raunchy, we're going to get real. We're going to undress ourselves.
Yeah?
Yeah? No judgment.
No
it's
judgment.
a safe space.
A little bit.
Yeah, but before we get there, let's catch up. Just briefly catch up. What's been on your mind lately, Joel?
I've been reading Sylvia Tamale's book, When Hens Begin to Crow.
Okay.
I have to admit, I hadn't
Who's
read.
Sylvia Tamale? For the people who don't know, I know
She's,
she's an icon of Primas.
She's a law professor at Ontario University. I think she was the dean of the law school at some point. And I think she's the first lady I've read who sort of explained gender roles. And the reason I'm thinking about it is there's some passage in the book where she says it's not enough for women to be in positions of power.
Yeah.
Because gender is like an institution that determines how you interact. So even when you're a powerful woman, more than anything, your femininity is questioned. So if you go too far in one direction, you're like, you're masculine. If you move too far in the other direction, they're like, oh, you see, like as a mother, why are you bringing these things in? So there's like this cutting, and she's sort of speaking about the norms that we carry in our heads are the ones that create the environment of people around us. And we've been just looking at numbers. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the book. I'm learning about gender.
She's a great woman.
I'm also getting freed
Sylvia
from gender
Tamale.
things.
Yeah. But also you're an advocate for...
Yeah, I learned this week the difference between allyship and solidarity.
Okay.
So allyship is like, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Solidarity is I'm going to pay a price for being with you. Like it's not
I
when
had
it's
that
convenient.
on a podcast recently, actually, a while ago. But I had that on a...
Was it mine? Oh, okay.
No.
You don't listen to my podcast.
I do. Then when you find guys who love what they're hearing, oh my God.
My people.
Yes. Yeah, that is our
My people.
God.
Yeah.
My
That
people.
is...
Yeah. No, but that thing is Hillary Clinton versus the other babe. The other one of I have a child, now I've left. What was her name? So it's Hillary Clinton, she's super strong, and guys are all like, you're a man, you know, and then they tell her you have to dress over how, Bananga, she's never been like that. Then the one is like, Bananga, I have my baby, I want to, and then they're like, okay, now you're weak. Yeah. So it's, Mambi, women,
It's a lot to carry.
yeah,
Okay, nice. Are you done with the book?
Almost.
When someone says,
I would like to borrow.
I slowed down
Are
because
you
I
a
realized I
lender
was
of
rushing
books?
through it, and there were things that I needed to sit with for a while because it's very dense. It's full of sociological language that you have to then look up. You assume you know the word.
Even
if
you.
Joel has to dear Pumla, think twice.
I think keep your book.
Think twice
Because
a year.
me and Miriam...
No, it's not that the words
we
are
are going to
bad.
be in the book and on the dictionary. In the book and on the dictionary.
Yeah.
Okay. On a lighter note, the last time we were here, Prima, you told us we were going on holiday. Are you back?
I'm back. I'm back.
Yes, I know you're back.
I know, right? 2 weeks. So we went on holiday for 2 weeks with my husband. I know, right? We were celebrating 8 years in marriage. But we had really...
Were you a child bride?
I know, right?
Man, engineer.
No, but just know it
nice.
was those trips where we had said, I'm the worst. Like, I don't plan things. And now his me time is fine. So for anything to happen in our home, we need like
What?
This, not like trips, like to plan a trip.
Oh,
This other normal life trips.
okay.
Yeah, normal life.
Okay,
No.
okay.
But for like trips, I'm not those people who are like, oh, what's the other plan? How we'll go away. I just don't have that time.
I hear
now for
you.
him, he's like, we are okay, we are fine here. Now. So we had planned this thing for a very. But it was nice. Yeah, it was really nice. It was very. I have a friend who sent me a whole Excel sheet. What. Bambi, I'm sorry, man.
Excel sheet of what?
Of activities, where to go, who to visit.
You are not about
that. I didn't even look. I opened go once. I just saw the areas. I said, very good. very good. But then when we got there,
That must have been a lovely
No, it was
experience.
nice. It was
okay,
very
from
nice.
some pictures you sent us.
Yeah.
You didn't post that. Your prolificities, did you?
You're still in the age of authenticity.
Did I post?
Oh, you
I
did?
posted.
No, I
I
didn't see
posted
it.
on status, and
Oh, status.
my
I don't
profilicity
see
status. I
Oh,
posted.
okay. So
Was
welcome
nice.
back.
Thank you. It was
How's your
nice.
husband?
My husband is fine. We are still in that car.
Mwami
excitement.
Chambade.
Mwami Chambade. We are in that
Well
car.
done to you, Bambi. And by the way, you were not allowing you to exit for whatever reason. Right?
Please, kindly. I know, right?
Because we can't be
Dear.
podcasting at two people. Statistic.
Well,
No. Nothing will happen. IJN.
Yeah.
Nothing, dear.
Okay. Do you know what's been on my mind lately?
Tell us.
There's a lubricant
Pumla never
that has
told.
come in my radar recently, guys. And the main reason that it's caught my attention is because of the price point. Actually, it's two main things, but the first one was the price point.
How much is it?
4,000 Uganda shillings.
4,000. 4,000.
I need to explain to you that I last used lube 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago. I was in my experimental phase.
Yeah.
10 years, and it was 10,000 Uganda shillings. That was
Back then.
2014. 10K in 2014.
Yeah.
And then 4,000 Uganda shillings in 2024.
Yeah.
For those who don't know our currency, that's almost, it's about $1.
Yeah.
Don't even
Let's
think
say,
about
Kenya
Kenya shillings.
Yeah.
Kenya shillings,
Yeah.
about what, Naira, what, no. $1. And when I saw it, I was really impressed because there was so many other different brands on the shelf. At the time when I used lube, there were two brands that I would align with.
Yeah.
This one is called Kiss Lube, dear. Please, Alan, please pass me my bag. I sample you Kiss Lube. This is the one I brought for you guys, but this is the one I bought for myself.
Okay.
Oh, you bought what? Samples?
I bought for you
taking it?
guys to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
You thought it was curly.
And you know what? So you know what? I feel like, because in the cultural context, women of this area, our African women are known to be naturally of their waris.
Yeah.
So people don't want
what
to
does of their waris
associate
mean?
What does
we
have a
to be
broader
Naturally
wet,
lubricated.
naturally lubricated.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
science.
like,
I was
what
fighting.
is?
Because we are thought
Source
to
of
be
the Nile, you know?
naturally lubricated. People don't
Joel,
want
I've gifted you.
to be associated with dryness. So they don't want to buy the lube.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have a responsibility sometimes to explain to people that while yes, a big lube does help with vaginal dryness, but there is so much more, guys. This particular one increases sensitivity.
Ooh, interesting. For who? For both?
For both. It increases
How about if you're more
sensitivity
than
for both. Remember that as a woman, when you're more sensitive, you respond more.
Of course.
When you respond more, he responds more to you.
It's a dialectic.
So think enhanced sexual pleasure, like just an overall better
Pumla, this is what we are all going
sexual
to use it
experience. Yeah. So there's nothing to be ashamed about.
Sorted.
Yeah.
Like So wetter is better, guys. So when you're
Why
thinking of
water?
lubricated, it is.
I think some young men should.
Kiss lube.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
When you think enjoyment, think kiss.
Think kiss lube. When you think enjoyment, when you think good time, when you think great sex, kiss lube.
Oh, when you think quick time.
Or quick time. Actually, there are times you think that your wife doesn't want to have sex with you, and then she says she has a headache.
Yeah.
But really, she's thinking about between
That-
having to put the kids to bed,
Yeah.
or having to prepare for you dinner, or having to come back from work, and the next morning when she has to wake up, take the kids to school, or wake up to prepare breakfast, or wake up to just think about her work day.
Yeah.
She's now thinking about the process that
Yeah.
sex takes, and yet Bambi she wants.
Yeah.
So instead of those men who
Theoretically.
slap saliva,
Yeah. Ooh.
you go to just use lube. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong, because it's
Yeah.
going to take you a while maybe to get her weight.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't have that time.
That time.
Maybe she doesn't have that time.
Until you've been
Exactly.
brushing,
And
Yeah.
then now you've brushed your teeth,
Yes,
then
you're going
you've
to put
washed,
so much
now you're inside.
Colgate.
So you just apply the lube. Let it be on the
Yeah,
outside
yeah,
table
yeah.
with your headaches that you use. What tabs do people
So you
have
can
on the
signal and
bedside
be like, at
Yeah.
around 7, be like,
yeah, and you're like, yeah,
let me go and put the
so
kids
that
to bed for you,
you'll
babe.
be shocked by the way your sex life will change,
Yeah.
and you'll have less. I have a headache,
Yeah.
and you'll have more intimate
Yeah.
experiences.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So that was related to the topic of the day's topic.
All right.
Yeah. I want us to talk about, guys, just our overall sexual experiences, and also hear from PPJ viewers as well. Actually, me, I mostly want to hear from PPJ viewers, but viewers can't say anything unless we start the conversation. So we have to share with them first, then they can share with us. So let's start from the beginning, the genesis. So looking back, what were your ideas about sex and intimacy? And how did those ideas shape your younger encounters?
What younger encounter?
Joel, do you?
We avoided them.
Which one?
In the house, by the way, we have an NBM.
Please.
I also was.
Let's start with the average population of Uganda and Africa.
As the average, that's funny, I suppose. So the first time I actually learned about sex is I came home early. I was in like P4.
Yeah.
And in school, they just kept talking about it as a reproductive process. And we'd always laugh, like it's, this is the vagina. Everyone just giggles. So you can't be the one who's honestly asking a question.
The other one.
The vulva.
The vulva.
It's like when you say epiglottis, it sounds like it's somewhere, but it's just here. But it shakes. Can you stop tinkling? So anyway, I came home and I found that the door to my room was locked. I could tell people were inside. So I went round and then checked from the window. And do you know how it was hardcore pornography?
Oh, wow.
And I was not prepared for what I saw. It looked really disgusting. It looked like, what are these sounds I'm making? It's a traumatizing image.
I also remember.
What's
the
this?
First time I watched,
Because it wasn't anything I was prepared for. I had never seen it anywhere. So,
name and shame.
Like they know themselves. They know themselves. They were watching,
Sunset Beach.
Big Bums 2007, something like that.
Yeah.
So I was watching and I was like mesmerized, and then my cousins saw me and like, hey, get out of here! Like, so.
How old are these cousins? And
they were about 12, 13. Yeah. So
everybody was a child.
They had left school. They had gotten, it was a cassette tape, blue movie, as they call it, and it was even grainy, but they were watching. But the thing that got me a bit weirded out was they were watching in the same room together, seated fully clothed, watching it.
Two men, or a man and a guy.
It was my cousins, a boy and a girl, and then their friends. So they had like three friends in there. So I'm like, you're sitting together to watch? Have you seen how she said that's how we used to watch?
No, because
at the time, remember when I explained when I used to watch porn as well, when I was much younger, you don't feel anything.
You're just like curious.
The hormones are not, because it's biology. The hormones have to be activated for you to respond to what you're watching. But if your hormones are not activated, it's first of all, it's you're just looking. And boys, it's just that thing of, it's because now that adolescence period is your, what is that word? You're curious.
You have feelings that you don't know what to put to a sign. You don't know what's this thing.
The feelings have not yet aligned. But the day when now two and two get together, you don't just watch like that.
Without giving TMI.
You give us TMI, please.
No,
we're here for TMI.
The first time the first thought I had as a stupid boy was like, I wonder if dad knows this happens. Because at first I was like, maybe I've broken something.
And how old were you?
I don't remember. I think it was like in P6.
And you thought you had broken like something in your body?
Because this is the thing about school. They
talk about it in such. Did what?
The first time I
he ejaculated.
I shook hands with the devil. Something.
We are calling you member the devil.
So at that time, they had not told us that it's a certain color. It feels this good. I had only experienced getting an erection and then it going away. So I knew that's what happens.
Okay.
And there was no way to ask anyone a question about it. So my first experience was, this is kind of shameful. These guys are watching it in the dark room. And I now realize that through school, when I even got saved, I used to think that girls just entertain men. Because the version you see in movies and whatnot, guys are always like, hey, I want to get some. I would never see girls being the ones who want.
Yeah, that's true.
So I always felt like, it's your job you want, and then you find someone who will just endure, who will just be like, waka kawa come. Then I read Mills and Boone, and I was like, women are crazy. What is this? Throbbing? Like, to think that you, like your body could be attractive to a woman was quite interesting. But anyway, I decided not to have sex until I would get married. So with my partner at university, there were a few moments where you're alone and you hold each other's hand and there's like electricity.
Yeah.
Now, when I would tell my other guy friends, they'd be like, well, I don't know what, you're pusillanimous. They'd be like, what? You mean you didn't complete? You mean you didn't, like, they had already experienced sex.
I was fearing.
Say
It's
that
the word for pussy, but they don't mean the cat. It's pusillanimous. It's
What
does
is the one
lanimus
where
mean when they're-
pusillanimous. It just means that you're a chicken. That it's a word for you shrink away from
Also, the
responsibility.
word laminus.
So when they start
Is
saying
it laminus?
pusillanimous,
Laminus.
it's
Okay.
together. So then
Let me
they
look for laminus.
you put it
here.
to as pussy.
Let's continue.
The thing that I remember is I didn't understand when men would say, I'm going to get blue balls. Or if I don't have sex, my back is going to hurt. I was like, as in, I'm okay. There's a moment where the thing comes and it disappears. Until I, left the church, and the first person I had sex with, I didn't plan for it to be. It was
Okay.
on my birthday.
Okay. What birthday?
She was older. It was 20.
Do you want to say on
I was
camera?
20. I was a bit
How old
older
were
than
you?
You're over
I was
20.
25.
25.
How old was she?
She was
Your first experience
27.
was 25. She was 27.
Yeah. But
Nice.
the thing I regret now is I
Nice.
didn't tell her it was my first time. Because the expectation, it wasn't even something that would come up of you're a virgin. And I think in people's heads, they think a virgin is like nerdy with like awkward
a
around women. And I
25-year-old
seem so
virgin.
natural
Yeah.
around, because I had women who were friends. So at the time when it happened, I was busy thinking I need to perform. And I think that set me on a path that I had to correct, because it now became I need to show up and perform. And the only times I'd seen sex, and I think this is true for many men, we encounter sex through pornography. Some people are touched inappropriately by like the maids. So, and in boy world, if you've done it, you start getting high fives. Like even older men go, you touched some, you got some. So you feel like, it's my conquest.
Even in the home, when
Yeah.
a man has sex, his father is high-fiving him. Let the daughter say
That's true.
that she's
Oh,
had
yeah.
sex.
Oh,
You
yeah.
see the
Oh, yeah.
difference.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's cultural, like it's institutionalized.
Yeah. So I feel like
You just brought back memories.
Hey, you want
No,
to tell us?
no. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So I think now when I look back on it, I had a very naive view. I was trying to perform, and it actually made sex stressful. Because I was now like, I have to show up this way. And I didn't know that I was comparing myself to performers, like people who are doing it for the camera. There were some things. So, and I sort of remember
Have you watched
talking to...
pornography extensively, or like
No.
in your
Not really.
teenagers?
We are so old, by the time to even get pornography, you'll be in the
Yeah,
cafe
you'd
like, this one picture, let's come, and then I shall imagine.
He used to have
Right now it's
like a
HD.
separate place there in the
Yeah.
video library.
Which yeah.
There.
I think when you go there, it was people were looking,
Yeah.
what do you want? I'm trying to learn.
You had to have like an older brother.
I think if I hadn't been fortunate enough with someone else that I met, who I could then be vulnerable with, they then taught me that, this is where you're supposed to be yourself. You're supposed to engage as vulnerable human beings. But for me, before I was like, show up, I would even be quiet. I'd be like,
I think you speak for many men.
I'm on
That's
business. True. And I felt that a lot of my female friends then started telling me about unsatisfactory sex lives that they were having. And then I decided to have uncomfortable conversations with the people I had been with. And I was like, was it?
Feedback.
And yeah, I learned two things. I learned two things there. There were a few times where I thought, like, and Fash was just like, I was being kind. Like there was no rhythm for you in your head. I wasn't present. There was another time when staff didn't respond, and then I was just like, you guy, can you respond? And then I learned that if my mind is engaged, if I'm not fully there, my fellow just says, I'm not involved. Then when you leave,
It's interesting for men as well. I thought men it's more physical, like it's not as mental as it is.
This is why I
for
think
women.
the way you think affects how you perform. So a lot of men, if you're conditioned in get sex, it's like it's on your mind all the time. Whenever men always think about sex event, I'm like, good, don't you have bills?
Right?
There's a border passing. Sex.
Yeah.
It's too much.
I think you speak for many men.
Yeah.
Alan, was yours also performance initially?
You just said he speaks for very many men.
Are you men?
It's almost the same thing. My first complaint with this episode is I'm going to struggle with Google. Trying to
Pusillanimous?
say this word was said, this word is there. But like it's literally the same. And at one point, like you said, you think it's just for you, it's for your satisfaction.
Yeah.
Especially if you started with porn.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who side with animal porn. That's like a whole
That's
conversation.
crazy.
Are they here?
But
It has a term. What is that?
Bestiality.
Is it bestiality?
yeah,
that's
but
act.
as
Bestiality is the act.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the
Okay.
act.
yeah, but as someone who had kids at an earlier age, yes, it's very, very performative.
Performance.
But that made my wife right now a beneficiary because I had to change the whole
Oh, say it
perspective. On right
Auntie
now,
men,
it's,
do
she's
it.
lucky.
No, do it.
I can't gladly say she's very lucky because now for me it's all about how can we make sure you have a good time.
Yeah, people from Toro.
Anyway, let's go to the ladies now.
This had to be the
I
best
don't want to
host
ashame
because
I don't want to embarrass myself, guys. I'm coupled up somewhere.
I know.
Prima, how for you? What were your ideas about sex and
My ideas were formed by two things, right? And I think when you say that thing of in a home, the parents will high five a guy, but they will
blast,
blast
literally, the girl.
The girl. Our home was super strict. Like, not even discussions. You people, we were in the 90s where HIV is there telling you.
How do you even begin?
There's a day,
How?
stories, I don't know. There's a day my dad, so we're not allowed to have visitors without asking. Like your friends couldn't come and visit without asking. So I remember there's a day, my boyfriend, I told my boyfriend that one of S5, he had come to visit. He came during that day.
Okay.
There is no way my father would be at home. Like, you guys.
That
I
day.
could tell my dad, I could tell the car from like 100.
All of us. All millennial children.
Let me tell you, I had the car. And I say, today, I have died. Today, I'm losing
is
my
it.
life. Yeah. So my dad comes in. By the way, I was like, is he going to abuse me? Is he going to beat me? Is he going to, I had all these things because my dad had me.
Was this bike
walks in.
outside?
No, he walks in. He's like, hello.
Why didn't he hide?
Anyway, young man, how are you?
Can't you
I'm
hide
like, yeah, they've seen the young man. My
Yeah,
dad,
nothing
and then
to
he
do
drives
anyway.
out. Let me tell you, that afternoon, I just told him, young man, please leave. Because I'm
For
just,
your own good.
that whole afternoon, I was just like, whatever my dad, whatever dad is going to do to us, I'm dead. He comes back, he called all of us. All the girls, and we were 4 girls.
Yeah.
At our home, they used to say that home of the girls. So he called the girls.
That home of the girls.
The girls visit. He's like, now, do you know that uncle who died of HIV? Do you know that auntie who died of HIV? Like, that is all. He did not drive me. He did not beat me. I think in his head, he could not believe. He was like, this child is going to die of HIV. So I grew up in that kind of home. Do not think about a boyfriend. Do not think about sex. Do not. So from that angle, then they took me to the church.
The next day, that day.
No, I'm saying
Okay.
So I'm coming. First of all, I'm coming from that kind of home. Then now I grow up.
Now you grow up in the church.
Anglican Union.
You guys, I wish I could explain the stigma around not having sex before marriage in the church. And I don't advocate for it, but the stigma was crazy. Like, your faith, right, was tied to sex almost. They'd be like if we would find out that somebody has had sex, I can't even
It's like a
explain.
special
It's
scene.
like it's a special scene. It's a special scene. I remember there's a friend of mine who told me, like, there's a time she just told me, man, this happened. Like, when she told me, I didn't even know. Why, it's like she had told me why she had killed that person.
Yeah.
You understand? I'm serious. Like, I think, Pumla, like, if I was to explain to you that kind of everywhere you went, and it wasn't taught in this way of no preserved sex, because I still believe in no sex before marriage, but I believe it in a certain context that I'll explain.
Okay.
But the way it was, like the way the message was given was like, sex is bad. If you have sex before marriage, you're no longer a Christian.
Okay.
In some churches, if you got pregnant before you got married, they take you to the
They
front
take you
of the
to the
church.
front of the
they
church
tell
and you
to-
confess your
and you
sin
confess your sins.
to
Do you
a
know
whole
what that
congregation.
does to people?
never
The person
understood
is
that
already
thing,
feeling
you
a certain way
guys.
because they already subscribe to that no sex
Yeah.
before marriage. Then now you take
They're
them in
feeling
front
shame.
of 500 people to ashame them as in how is
Why
that
do
the
they
love
do
of
that?
God?
I don't
I think
understand.
repentance.
But
And
I
also
don't
to
see
like
anywhere where
dissuade
it says-
people
yeah.
in the.
I thought you're supposed to seek forgiveness from God and from the man you
And you've
wronged.
been serving you in the from the man of God. Why is he? Is that
No,
man of
from God
right?
and the man you wronged. Like, the
They used to
person
say
you did
if you're
wrong
in
with.
service and you're known to have done something,
If you were in ministry,
you're now going to cause people to
Oh,
stumble.
it's
I
only
really
people
said
who
that
are in
you're going to
ministry
stumble.
who are supposed to grow up. Okay.
So those were my early thoughts about sex. So I can tell you that for me, even at campus, do you know? I cannot even explain how I was such an NBM baby. Like, if you propose, I remember a guy I met, as in first year, he was in fourth year. I met him in church things. He's there, of course, he's in church things, but he's a sinner.
Yeah, we know them.
So he starts by being me, what?
You know them.
And then at some point, he proposes. I remember I had gone to visit him and he brings a condom out.
He said, let's make the beast with
No,
two
he
backs.
just brought, let me tell you. I cannot explain to you it's like I had seen the devil. Because and it wasn't even, in my head I was like, you're the one who I found in church mixes.
Yes.
You're the one who was, like, it was such a no-go area. Like, you propose it, dear. I know, I've forgotten your name that day. Like, that
You
guy,
shall not
after that day, I
stumble me.
stopped talking to him. Like, I was
Are you
that
serious?
anti, like, this thing, never getting involved. Like, it was that, definitely not. So that was my those were my
Ali.
Yeah.
Okay, and then how did that shape your first encounters?
Oof, my first encounter.
Your first time, was it only encounter?
Step to step.
My first, okay. So, luckily, I was really prepared well for marriage, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I was prepared. So there were so many things. I have so many things to say about this topic because it had been forbidden for so long.
Yeah.
I kept saying that.
I'm trying to understand, how do you navigate? Okay.
I was like,
This
That
long
day,
suffering will
I
not
was
be for
like,
nothing.
Yeah. So in my head, first of all, I assume you're going to get in there and you're going to be a superstar. You have seen on TV.
Music shall
Like in my
play
head,
from
I
heaven.
assume that I'm going to get in there and it's going to be so dope. It's going to be, first of all, imagine it's something that you have looked forward to for 10 years, for I don't know how long. So you imagine we're going to get in there. A is going to go
Naturally.
with the B and the B is going, like you think it's going to. So, dear, I already had that car. Luckily, and imagine it was a pastor. I had a really good pastor at that time.
A married pastor?
Yeah, married.
His wife. Okay.
Before we got married, they sat us down and they took us through, like just now it was one of those things of over so many sessions of trying, because I think they knew that at the time we had grown up, sex has been so, what's the word?
It was like a taboo.
Yeah, it was like a taboo. So you're going to get into it and you're either going to freeze or you're going to imagine it's something else. So they almost start as if undoing what has been done early. They were like contemporary pastors. So they started undoing it in our minds quite early.
Ali is like when?
I think we maybe like, should I say, like, first of all, we had counseling for a year.
Yeah, so that's what I'm
You
trying to
guys really
understand.
So we had
Wow.
counseling
So
for
at
a
this
year.
point,
That
do you know
sex
this is
talk-
going to be your husband?
Oh yeah, with Andrew already, like me and my husband.
So
like
these pastors give this to people who have decided that they're going to get married.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, so they took
that
us
should
through,
help.
like they really prepared us, I think, because they had many couples that had come to them and had. So it was a lot of undoing. But I think even in like the first year of marriage, in my head, I had to understand, man, it's a skill. You get better at it. Because I'm like,
It's natural.
No, like you go in your head, imagining, oh my God, this food that I've never, like how you'd be like, oh my God, I've been looking forward to, and then you go and then you're like, hello, dear.
And you bama.
Hi, dear. So it was just, there was a lot of unlearning that I had to do early because of that.
That's
But do
really
I still believe
interesting.
in no sex before marriage?
You do.
Ideally, right?
Okay, but contextually.
Contextually, I think that it should be. I really think that the spirit behind no sex before marriage, I think, is the emotional connection, which is really, sex should, the emotional connection should match the physical, should match the commitment, right? The physical, should match the connection, right?
Okay.
And so I think the whole idea is, man, sex is going to bring so many emotions, and the connection
Which
is so,
it does.
so you must do it with a person where there is commitment, long-term commitment. And what defines long-term commitment? Marriage. That is not how that message is.
I know.
That was not the tone.
No one ever
for
tells
sure.
you that sex is really good and it's
It's
a way to
healthy,
be,
you
it's
can
healthy,
express
it's a way to be
yourself.
intimate with your person. It's just said if you have sex before marriage.
God is
So
good.
I wish that
hear you.
context had been given. So that was my.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were getting married, so you talked about the pastors, but did your family have any? Did they say anything?
What is family?
Or they were just like, you will know what to do. You are an intelligent woman. They didn't
No, but
say
remember,
anything at all.
Also, I'm a bit somehow, right? So I have a lot of, I'm a
You
bit
have
somehow.
your
So
people.
I wasn't like green of, I've never talked about it, I've never heard about it, I've never, like I wasn't like that. Like I was kawa.
When you resist, you know
I
about
had all
what you're
the
resisting.
information that is needed to be heard. Like I was that. Yeah, I was equipped really mentally. But, so I wasn't even, I remember for my bridal shower, my bestie organized it. And you know, now me, I have a lot of friends from church. I have a lot of friends outside the church. So, and my bestie is a friend outside the church. Dear.
Scandalized your church friends.
The most scandalous
bridal
shower
of singer of
the
what?
singer came and I think it was those singers who removed the Messi and I don't know what. It was those scandalous types. Now me, I was not, you understand, like I told you I was ready, like nothing would ever, like in my mind, I know, okay, you're supposed to, So whatever the singer was doing, I was not shocked at all. But Banang, my members of the church,
they were scandalized.
They were
so that in attendance were half the church and half secular.
Yeah, yes, cutting down collab was tough, was so tough. Meanwhile, me, the reason for the season, I am so
some
easy.
are clapping, some are booing. No,
okay, I'm confirming.
Your balance.
Yeah.
You were asking, hey, that's reverse wheelbarrow.
So did you have sex on the first wedding night?
I think it was gradual. There was an attempt.
As you...
Yeah, like slowly, and very comfortably.
Okay.
Like,
and is that what you were thinking about, like on the wedding day? I always wonder when I see, I've attended one wedding in my life where I know that the girl was a virgin. She was a close friend of mine and I was a bridesmaid at her wedding. But the entire time, picture, I'm not the bride, but I was thinking, how is she feeling? Like, how is she thinking?
Because there's more after this.
Yeah, because the real wedding is after.
Imagine I wasn't, because I remember I told you I was so mentally prepared. Like I was so ready for it. So for me, I was like, I'm in the thing. Like during the day, I'm having a good time. This is going to happen later. And remember me in my head, I was like,
I am the master of this.
You were like this during speeches.
And then I reached there, and then I was like, I'm being humbled.
It had to be gradual.
We try again tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can't wait for the gym. Tell us.
Anyway, so let's start from my idea of sex and intimacy. My idea was shaped by two things: by porn, actually three: porn, real movies, like nice romantic movies, and novels, Mills and Bones to be specific. And the other one, I've forgotten it again. They told me the name in the comments. No, I can't remember. Kezabu.
The one that you had said was...
The one I said on the other episode, now I've forgotten it again. Kezabu, you will remind me in the comments again. So romantic movies, porn, then romantic novels, and pornish novels.
Yeah.
And for me, in my mind, all I knew is that people are going to... It seemed so choreographed for people to come at the same time. That same time coming orgasm is what for me in my mind I was like, I must have that. Like I wasn't thinking about the sex. I was like thinking about the explosion at the end that happens at the same time simultaneously. That's all I knew about.
That is what they call a miracle.
A double coincidence of once, as the economists say.
My cherry popping is a little bit different. Actually, I call it berry because the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. So mine's a real dark berry. So my mind was like, when popping my berry was, I knew it was going to happen. So the two things I had been warned against.
You missed Alan's.
Very, hold on. You
the boys are like,
when the berry was?
The dark berry. So, in my mind, I remember that two biggest things I had been warned about growing up were sex and booze.
You're lying. Not even pregnancy.
Anti-sex pregnancy. Sex and HIV and pregnancy. And then booze. Like and
one leads
booze
to the
because
other.
you're not going to pay. You study. You have to study booze, drugs, and its relatives. That whole. So when I was,
did your parents used to drink though?
But socially,
easy.
Actually, not easy. Let me not lie. My parents and their
I think
friends.
that's the interesting thing. They drink so
Don't do this.
They want you.
But then it was an issue of age.
Okay.
My parents, when we became of age, they didn't care. Their issue, but throughout my high school, it was don't get into bad groups. Because when you get into bad groups, you're going to have sex, you're going to get pregnant, you're going to get AIDS, you won't finish your studies, or you're going to entertain alcohol, you're going to go to the bar, you're going to use drugs, you're going to use substances, and it's going to affect your academics. But when we went to uni, they just told me, don't get pregnant, don't get AIDS, and that's it. But it was clear that they were giving me permission to have sex, they didn't care. Because now I was an adult.
You can manage yourself.
After that, they didn't care. I was an adult. So I knew when I reached first year uni like this, I was like, in my mind, these are 2 obstacles that I must get out of the way because I know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I know by the time they are warning you of this, every forbidden fruit is sweet. So I'm going to engage. Let's get it out of the way. First year, Mitchell Baza. First year, even before
you still had the fresher letter
of uni, even before the rest of the students come. I had been dating my boyfriend who was now in second year for 3 weeks.
You banged.
Why did you find
all I remember was that he was a friend of my brother. And the man is now married with children. So let's not talk about
we thank God.
Yeah, but he was a nice guy, Bambi. So all I remember was being in one day here. We had gone to get food from Romalo's. Half chips, half rice, gravy.
Of course, standard.
And then I don't know what happened, guys. So remember, when I used to be in those romantic movies and porn and what, my hormones were not, there was nothing really.
Curiosity.
I didn't feel anything. It was just curiosity. And I was enjoying the books. So just easy, fun enjoyment. Harmless, mostly. But I remember when now I came to uni, Essex back there, is when I started like kissing and feeling something, you know? So when I just remember being in one day again and calling and saying, you know what? I feel like you're the one I would like to pop my berry.
Pumla,
it was a phone call. I
on
asked,
our Nokia 2300.
Come on my Nokia. I had an Alcatel.
With you playing Snake, then you say,
yes. I asked him, is it okay? He said, come to meet you.
Of course.
Wow.
I think it's just everyone.
I found him and he has prepared. I was so happy.
What does
I had invited some guy in Livingstone to enter his car to take me to one again.
And he was there listening. He was there.
I didn't have a phone call in the car. I had it while I was picking the food. So when I entered, this guy asked me. So he said, we are driving. I was like, hey, by the way, you can
drop me at.
But I stay in Livingstone.
But I was like, no. Me, I was like, I'm going. Let me first pass by for the bazaar. Yvette is there. I didn't, because I had used the
subterfuge
just to use for the car. For a lift.
Kampala is not buildings, my friend.
Uni is really a problem. The guy dropped me at Mitchell. I entered the guy's room. He asked me, are you sure? We started kissing. He asked me, are you sure? I said, I'm sure. The man removed the condom, dressed himself. We started banging. He was so gentle. He was so mindful, so demure.
He was cutesy.
He understood the assignment.
Yeah, but I felt like it needs to be done. Like I just had that thing of, I'm going to cross these lines. And that's also exactly how I started drinking alcohol.
So your first experience was it wasn't one of those traumatic ones. It wasn't.
Not at all.
It was
just that time of where he had to go through.
Yeah.
I felt that pain, that contraction. But after that,
it was kawaii.
It was so nice.
Yeah.
But now when I didn't feel fireworks, I felt the fireworks. It was so electrifying.
Yeah.
Like it was, but the build-up was there.
Yeah.
But that was it.
Yeah.
I didn't cross over to the other side where we come together. And then for him, I felt him. That he has come.
Because he didn't use kiss.
But if maybe we had used the kiss.
In fact, it has gentle water-based lubricant for your pleasure.
So like after him, then of course that relationship didn't work out. Then we had the other relationships there. Then there was a period there. Now after him, by the way, he was the only guy I think I entertained. I had an encounter with, who was about my age bracket.
Yeah.
He's the only one ever I think in my life. No. The other ones were just physical. But these ones where the heart is involved, he's the only one who was around my age bracket. Otherwise, for a period there afterwards,
it was older.
It was 8 years minimum gap.
That's probably where your experience was.
Gap. Yeah. And now these are people who are coming with a prowess, with expertise.
Yeah.
So I was literally like in a teaching hospital.
Yeah.
So there was a bit there.
Yeah.
Where now, I was so open and to learning.
Yeah, you didn't have all those hang-ups other people bring into the thing.
I don't know if women really have those hang-ups. And you see, because of the age gap, there was like a kind of, the relationship was like, he's older, and because now you're younger, you
Guide,
know,
guide,
yeah.
guide.
now when
Yeah.
I'm 39 and I'm with a 50-year-old, he's not really looking at me as a child.
Yeah.
I'm a grown up, even if the
But
gap
as a
is 20
You're two
years.
adults.
But as a 20-year-old and you're with a 30-year-old, the 30-year-old looks at you like a baby.
Yeah.
And even me, I leaned into
And he treats you
the
into
baby.
that,
He
yeah.
treats you like a baby.
Yeah.
But a baby who he can have sex with. You click.
What a baby.
So that is what a baby.
Yeah.
I kind of used that experience to tailor. So even if in my mind I felt
What you
we need to
wanted.
come together, we need to enjoy it together, I now agreed with my body to learn my body, to understand what sex is. And I was able now very early on to tailor my own experiences and detach them from my ideas. Yeah.
Oh,
You now go to
Yeah.
material, what it actually is,
What
not
it
what you
is.
had
Not
idealized
what
and
I
thought
idealized.
about.
Yeah, I feel like I dumped that very early on. And I might have dumped it from that first encounter, the very first time I indulged. I
When you
think so.
realized.
Yeah, but now that we've spoken about our
genesis.
immature years, let's move ahead. So how has your understanding of intimacy evolved over the years? And when do you know that you've felt an actual connection? I want to start with you, Prima.
Remember, I told you I was very mentally equipped.
Yeah.
So I read a lot. I listen to a lot of information. I am very open. I am in conversations all the time with everybody, asking all manner of questions. So I can tell you that I had talked about everything sex before I ever had sex. You understand? And very openly. And I think that people around me feel a safety. People don't feel judged, I think.
When they talk
when
to
they
you.
speak to me. So
Yeah.
people open up very easily to me.
I can attest to that.
So I had really, spoken and I had all these ideas. Some of those ideas about sex were performance.
Okay.
Right?
On your side, yeah.
Yeah, on the
Okay.
bedside as well.
Yeah.
Because I remember I told you that saying, she was saying, you do this, you make this sound.
You
do
were
this,
like,
sort of
yeesh.
I'm like,
Get
you
the warm
sound
towel up.
only. How can sound
Small,
be a
small.
problem? Small, okay. How can that be? How can that Joel is about to die.
Yeah, sometimes I suspect you sound like the other one. What's going on? Were you at a conference?
We
Still
made
in the same
a
interval.
round table.
Yeah.
So I had the entire performance in my head because of how you had said, movies and all of that. Interesting. Again, so there was all this can be about styles and all of that. Before we got married, there's another reverend that we went to see.
Yeah.
And the reverend, really good. And I remember the reverend was like, sex is two things. And
I think I know the reverend you're talking about.
yeah, I know. No. He was
think
just
I
like,
know
he was
that
like,
as well.
all these things they call styles and all of that are just as if semantics. Yeah? But he's like, there are only two things, right? They are the body parts, right? And those body parts are either approached from the front or from the back. That's it. That is what he said. So he was like,
What?
Yeah, that's what he said. So he's like, all those are things that the world has given names and all this
Worldly pleasures.
Yeah, and then people have all this, like, it's like the things that people are saying, you must have, I don't know how many styles, blah, blah, blah. So early on, you get in with almost a performance, KPI, performance-based, performance.
I must hit all the milestones.
Yeah. And I think very quickly I realized that for me, that doesn't work. For me, that wouldn't work. That this thing is created as a thing of intimacy, right? And so there are two things I learned. Number one, it's created as a tool of intimacy between me and my spouse, and it's a safe space. It's a safe space between me and that person.
Yes.
So if me and that person, all we have ever enjoyed is the other one's style, that is our style, us that we like, and that should be enough, right? If us we like silence without the other sounds that the other people say, between the two of us, that is what expresses intimacy.
Yes.
And we should be okay with our silence based.
Yes.
Like you're in a taxi ride.
Yeah, so very quickly, I think I learned that sex is a way God has created intimacy between people. And so I took the performance away very quickly.
Were you able to speak about like your anxieties?
With my person?
Yeah.
What we do is talk.
You talk
Everything.
before, during, after.
Evaluation. And
I think that's beautiful.
Like talking, we talk and talk up to now. So that was the first one. The
Okay,
second thing,
that's interesting.
the second thing I think that about So I think for me, that's the connection. What builds the connection? It's intimacy. We have to be intimate, right?
Yes.
But that also, everything is good. But the bad about that is that now me in my head, I was like, okay, so because it's intimacy, it must always be how I feel, right? Like if I feel like it, I remember I'm already a feminist. You can never force me.
Yes.
I've never been on that WhatsApp group I've never been on that WhatsApp group of you must always please your guy every time he wants. I've really never been those people, right? So for me already, I was on the other, it's a tool of intimacy. What is just a two of us. So when I feel like kawa, and so there was, but then I would hear older women who are like, oh, what? But for them, of course, it's again delivery. They say it with never say no to your person. I'm like, never say no. That is patriarchy. That is what
speaking
about.
absolutes.
Why are they? You understand? Like now I had gone. I was so offended. I was so offended by that whole never say no to your person. I'm like, Mama, is it a no? Is it 5 times one? What do you mean? But then I think over the years, I have learned that it being a tool of intimacy means that I should respect my person's desire. The same way they respect my need for affection. And because for me, that's what I need more. I need affection. I need to be seen. And they respect it even when they don't understand it. And they're just like, this is such a silly desire. I should also respect their physical desire. And I think respecting... That's a nice,
lovely way to think.
Yeah, so respecting their physical desire means that
even when... I don't have to have the same feeling.
Yeah, I don't have to have that. Even when I don't want, I respect you enough to say, this is what you need right now. I'm going to sacrifice and do it.
I really love how you've said that because when you flip the script, women expect their men to show affection for them and show love all the time whenever we call for it. And yet, when a man expresses his physical desire, we're like,
I'm sorry.
And yet each of us, we're speaking the same language, just differently. So how do you expect me, like, I want affection, you ignore me, you're not there for me, even when you don't have the capacity to do it. Yet for you, when you want sex, I'm like, it's okay for me to say no. You know? So I know I hear you. Actually, what I wanted to, that WhatsApp group that you've never been a part of, strangely,
you've always been on that.
Strangely, contrary to popular belief.
Completely.
Admin.
That thing kills me never.
For me.
You're the admin.
You're the admin.
You add people. You move them. These are the rules. What do you mean, man? This one, you're in. Who do you think you are?
It was so conditioned in me. And I think, institutionalization is because people see me here and I speak women empowerment and feminism and I own, you're a woman, make your own decisions and you're your own person. But deep inside me, I was raised in a way that the man's needs come first.
Yeah.
Now remember that orgasming together? It took me, my first sexual encounter, I was 18 years old.
Praise the Lord.
I only got my first orgasm when I was 20. This was a year after my separation from home, from my marriage.
Yeah. Wow.
I was 25 years old.
You were 25?
25. So 7 years of sex.
But you would enjoy
with
the
no
sex,
orgasm.
right?
So this is the thing. I really enjoyed
the
sex.
Yeah, but you just
I enjoyed it. And because I read a lot, I had checked and found that up to 15% of women in the world have never experienced an orgasm.
You're like, I'm in that WhatsApp group.
So me, I used to think 15% is a large percentage. Yeah. Who do I think I am not to be in that WhatsApp group? Yeah. So I had just realized that maybe that is because you guys, I used to enjoy sex so much. Yeah. I even thought maybe there was some addiction. Yeah. And now when so I remember when I was on the bathroom floor one day. Auntie, I grieved the end of my marriage in about a year after the separation also. I grieved in the marriage and also a little bit after. Yeah. I remember like transitioning to now a single mom, something I never ever thought I could ever be. Yeah. And I remember being on the bathroom floor and I was crying. Then I started to touch myself.
Pumla, I want to stand up. I don't think this is real. But
then she just said, turn all tears. As for the word of
was that your first time too?
Was that the first time? Okay. I had before, but still never reached the other side. never crossed over.
You just rev the engine.
So
and
yeah, I
go.
was doing and just feeling happy and excited, and I reached a point and I'm like, I got that.
Oh, you didn't know there were other levels.
Not crossing over. In my mind, I knew there was more,
But you were.
I liked this as well. You can't really overlike what you don't know,
Yeah.
can I
That's
say?
Yeah.
So I remember that particular day, I think I moved to a different level. I know I moved to a different level because tell me why I was on the bathroom floor and I was shaking. I moved to a place where I'm like, I literally saw the world explode.
Pumla, I feel like
Around
I've had, I don't know if this is the story I've had, but I remember I've had you tell the story about, I don't know if you were grieving, but there's one where you were talking about a toy, using a toy.
Now I'm coming there.
Okay.
The next day,
You bought a toy.
I bought a dildo.
You said there is another level.
The next day, I bought a dildo. I went back to the bathroom floor. Please note,
Same place.
You said you were not
everything
grieving.
is happening after I've put my son to bed. My son was 1 year old.
Yeah.
So I put him to bed.
Yeah.
I've now gone around doing everything.
Yeah.
Now I'm there.
Yeah, on the
Lit
bathroom.
some
The
candles.
bathroom floor. I don't know why I used to be on the bathroom floor, you guys. For
No,
just
I know
some-
what
it
it
was
is.
cold over.
Yeah.
No, I remember breastfeeding makes you very hot.
Oh.
So I would be like, I'm hot. So I'd enter to shower, go to the bathroom to shower, but usually I would first cool off on the floor. You know, the bathroom tiles are very cold. Yeah, so that's usually where I would go when I'm done with being a mother.
Yeah.
And now I'm a woman
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
just me and myself. I'll go to the bathroom floor. I charged my gadget.
Said bean time.
Had washed it properly, prepared it, and I know. Please note that the whole day I was
Yeah, sorry,
like,
berry time.
That you're
Berry
feeling-
time. Time for black currants.
With yourself.
With myself, I was in foreplay. I went to the bathroom.
Berry
I
blast.
got Naika gadgets.
These boys are
I
hearing
started.
them.
What are these
You
boys
said,
saying?
you said
blast.
berry blast time.
Berry blast.
Yeah.
It's like a drink.
Of course, yeah.
Berry
Free sponsorship. Here we
Oh
go.
my god, that's the best. You've defined it perfectly.
Yeah.
Very blast. I got my thing. What are those? The drillers, the blasters. Those
Hey,
ones. I got the thing. It started. I started. Now remember the thing that I crossed over the day before? This one.
Pumla, the production team is in shock. They are like,
You left purgatory. This time you really went
I
to.
was like
what is
8
this?
years of sex.
And I've never felt
And I've
this.
never
I've been
felt
joking.
like
These have been
what
jokes.
have I been doing?
Yeah.
No, how was I blaming myself? I was like, men don't know shit.
Yeah.
That's true.
Then I realized but it is me if I don't know my own body.
Yeah.
How can another man over
I'm
different
also
gender,
unique.
Yeah.
over different chromosomes?
But you know, I have a friend,
know
Pumla.
my
I have
body?
a friend, Pumla, who, when we were discussing toys and the
Yeah.
integrity of toys,
Integrity.
there's whether you can use as in
Oh.
Yeah.
like can you and toys and what. And this one is not
Toys R Us.
he's in the chapter, and he will
a
know
guy.
himself. He a guy. He was like, you guys don't start toys because a human being can never compete.
Flesh
with
and
fire.
blood.
That is not
They
true.
can never compete with electricity.
Isn't it different?
They can never
different
compete with
feeling.
Let me
electricity.
tell you that is not true. Because now I had a fear at that point because I had that. I had a fear
That I'll
I'm
become
going to
addicted,
depend
yeah.
on this toy
That's a good
forever
point.
and a man can't make me calm.
That's a
I
good
was
point.
like,
It's different,
Pumla, you're
yeah.
a single woman again. It is time for you to experiment. I said, my son, my marriage, you stole my youth from me, but I'm going to claim it back.
Put it
Yeah.
in the government gazette.
I decided, now because of my child again, what have you said?
He's been the government gazette. You're like, I'm going to show
Let me
you
tell you, I
men.
said, because that feeling was the nicest feeling. You know when you've gone through like a terrible relationship
Yeah.
and you're going through a heartbreak, there's a way you dull down. You're either feeling
Yeah.
pain or you're dulled.
Yeah.
Eh? And now this thing I felt had woken me up.
Yeah.
Like I felt
You felt like a
fire.
babe again,
I was
yeah.
like, I'm a woman. Like
Yeah.
what is this?
Yeah.
I was not identifying as a divorcee
Yeah.
or as a single mother or
Yeah.
as a what.
As a
I was
breastfeeding
just
woman.
Like a 25-year-old woman.
But
Because
you
how can a
told her you were
25-year-old woman be
25.
feeling
Wow,
those
you were
other things?
Yeah.
You click. eh? What is that?
25.
Yeah, it's it's child marriage. That's why I
Yeah.
keep on saying it's child marriage. Because 25-year-old men shouldn't be feeling those deep
Yeah.
emotions of
Yeah.
pain and
Yeah.
hurt and grief. No, it's not acceptable.
Yeah.
I said fire is going to come back to this home, going to come back to this berry.
Yeah.
I
Very
decided now because my son was young, I had already made a mental decision that I'm not going to enter a committed relationship until my son's grown. I have a responsibility. I took him out of a home, and
I
now,
need to
so yeah, I had that thing of I must punish myself and live and give my life to my child and raise him in a stable home. Because when you bring in a partner, you can't control that it's an external factor.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how they are going to affect you and your mood. You know, partners now also
You have to take it seriously,
Yeah, you have
yeah.
to. I didn't want that mess, but I said these hormones that are raging must be put to rest. I started entertaining young men. I said, but I was very careful
About
using
where, how.
protection.
Yeah.
Where, how, who, my home.
Yeah.
And usually time, because I was co-parenting, my son would go and be with his father.
Okay.
That would be the weekend that
Yeah.
I entertained.
Yeah.
And I started to explore. You guys, that dildo is the best thing that has ever happened to me, because now I knew my points, my erogenous zones. I would even put on my boob, my nipple, to feel how do I feel when I'm touched like this? How do I, like I experimented my physical body.
Yeah.
And now I knew, because
Joel, are you
I didn't
okay?
have any
I'm playing
fear.
attention.
You see, because, and I feel like when you're in a relationship, that problem of being told women to submit to their men,
Yeah.
let me tell you, it also reflects in your
It
sexual
does.
life.
It does.
Because now when you are with your actual husband or your actual partner, it is so
Will you speak
difficult for
up?
you to
Will you-
speak and say, do like this, be like here, this is how I like it, for you to own the experience and dominate.
And yet,
So
because
I
you're like that,
dominated my-
Pumla, unfortunately, because you're like that in terms of you're holding back, now he goes to the other babe.
That is
who
it.
is now
That's the strange
dominating.
part.
Yeah.
That's the strange
Because
part.
that's what they want. They
Yeah.
want you to.
Yeah.
And whether you know it or not, like the body language, you can tell. Even if
Yeah.
you're having a good time, you might
Yes.
think back and go, was she really? I told
True.
you this friend of mine who sent a message afterwards. He said he'd been having sex with his girlfriend. And, you know, in the midst of the
Yeah.
his fell out. It came out, right?
What? You use the language.
He's,
guys.
what are we
We're
supposed to say?
turning
His
40.
member.
His
He didn't
member,
use
okay.
his
Oh,
member.
he
Because
slipped
we're on
out.
YouTube, yes,
Oh,
it
he
slipped
slipped
out,
out.
right?
Okay.
But, you know, with every thrust, there had been a sound coming. So when he missed,
still-
she was like, oh, and then he said, hey,
You're pretending.
you're pretending.
That is an
He said
analysis.
that's the only sexual encounter he had where he said, you mean you've been entertaining me this whole time? Like he thought,
And
it's
let
like
me tell you, it
all
happens
our
more
experiences, I
times
felt like,
than
did
you
you
know.
fake? And then he
It
said to
happens
her,
more
did you
times than you
fake?
know.
And
What
she
did
said,
she say?
a few times. And then she said, it's because I care about you.
You.
And in the conversation they had, she was genuinely going this thing of, you end up being polite in that scenario,
Yeah.
because you're like, I don't want you to feel like
Yeah.
the problem is you.
Yeah.
But they were not communicating. They were protecting each other's egos, but they were now causing a chasm
But that's
between
exactly
them.
what my 8 years were like, because I faked orgasms the whole of my 8 years sexual experience before I got my first orgasm. I literally faked, because I felt that if I don't, this man, I must make this man, I must massage his ego. I must make him feel
And you
like
see,
he's
for me,
the
Pumla, that is
emperor,
why-
the king,
Yeah.
the lion.
He's
But
what?
that's how I had
He's
it.
here.
Emperor,
He's
the king.
here.
Emmanuel.
Please, no, now, Pumla. You see, for me,
Yeah.
my problem and why I continue to advocate for sex in marriage or in long-term commitment is that once it is a one-night stand, it's friends with benefit.
Yeah.
It's one of these non-committal things.
Yeah.
You're in performance, KPIs.
Okay.
You're in KPIs because you're like, we're here for a good time.
Yeah.
And yet, if you're going to explore your body,
Yeah.
you're going to learn, you're going to be able
Yeah.
to, you had better have the backing of commitment.
I'm going to sound like a hoe. But at a certain point,
Tell us.
I realized that men are dishonest. We're dishonest because you know what to say if you want to persuade her to have sex with you.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, you have to use love languages. So you're saying things that you don't really mean to get what you want.
Okay.
And that division exists for a long
In the
time.
end, it's affecting
So
who? It's affecting who?
it affects us.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's robbing
Yeah,
us.
you're
So
the one
now,
that's robbing you.
Yeah.
what I've learned is even with my friends, I've had sex with my friends.
Okay.
We're just
And
buddies.
at that point,
On Monday, how
at
would
that
you
point,
be?
I'd be like, what's up?
How is life?
I'm like, maybe I can move
Me, you can never
Maybe I can
make
move.
it.
Of course, but do you know?
No, I'm saying-
Let's
no,
discuss what you
I'm saying,
said.
No, not like that. No, I mean, I just mean that with friends. No, I keep telling people that because of how much value I attach to it,
That's
as
what
soon
I'm
as
saying.
it happens, we're going to see your parents.
Yeah, that you're attached
We,
to sex.
as in, yeah, that's attachment. I'm like, we're
yeah.
seeing your parents. Like, I've left this marriage, I've entered this marriage with you. I'm now with you, dear. You didn't know, but after that, I am with
My
you.
people are now your
My
people.
When is my?
I shall come to you. It was Naomi and Ruth.
Is it next Saturday or it's the other?
When
Saturday?
are we? What are we?
Woo! But
Which I
okay.
found a lot of times,
Yeah.
actually, it's making a point because you
Yes.
didn't speak about it at the time. You were probably horny, and then you said what you wanted to get there. I'm very careful before we have to be on the same
And
page.
you were- actually, you were saying you've had
And when we
sex
get on
with
the
your
same
friends.
page, I
Yeah.
found that I had to articulate what I wanted.
Wanted.
Just like you,
Yeah.
I thought that the only acceptable way in which I could say I want to be with you means I want to date you. Those are different feelings. There are feelings where I'm like, I'm sexually attracted to you,
Yeah.
but you're my friend. But I don't think that if we try to put our lives together, because we're friends, we can't go
My mind
there.
can't fathom.
So I'll be like, let's enjoy each other. And what I've learned from those people, I learned how to be myself in that phase, because it was always, there's Joel here, now we're
Yeah.
entering sex mode. There's a time I fell off the bed and we're just laughing. I went, and I was like, this is
Really?
comfortable, let me laugh. But there were other escapades I've had where I'm like, I'm performing. So I learned that the performance is you. You're bringing a shield because you don't want that person to mock you. But because I'm with someone who I genuinely care about, I could even ask and say, hey, was that good? They're like, no, maybe let's try this. And it was not hurtful. What was really hurtful is if you try to perform, because there you're putting the metrics of I am here to service you. Once they say, but here you can be like, we failed, we giggled, we went, we watched, we came back. And so I understand definitely what you're saying, that in marriage that is probably the ideal, but I don't think it is exclusively that.
No,
there are
for me,
people for
I
whom
know
I've
for a
had great
fact,
experiences
that it is
where
not
we were
exclusively
honest and we
that.
were happy with each
I
other.
know for a fact
Also,
that it's
Joe-
not, but it depends on personality as well.
Indeed, it's not
Personally,
everyone.
I'm expressive as a person, but remember, in my long-term relationships, I wasn't able to speak. I was only able to speak now when I knew that there was no end.
But
like
Pumla, I think,
there was no defined journey. And me, I became selfish. I wanted my pleasure. But imagine, there is no man who ever resisted allowing me to lead, to dominate, to show them what I wanted. And those became our best sexual experiences. Like when I would say, now, I'm not saying it like, that's not nice, I don't like that. I'm just saying, let's move like this. Let's do this. Let's move it. Let's try to change.
It's like a dance.
And there's no man who has ever resisted. Never who have been with, even if it was for one night. It was like, oh, you want to take control, and I'm controlling them. And to a point when, if I'm with them for an extended period of time, now they've learned what I like.
Is it taking control?
Now,
Is it
I'm
taking
control of my pleasure.
Okay, good.
I'm taking control of my pleasure.
Good.
Now I have blocked that conditioning of you must pay attention to the man.
Good.
So I've removed that because I have no feeling for him. It's a physical desire. For you, you're talking about.
I was agreeing with you then.
Me too, I was actually I want to but let's go, come again. Come again.
What I realized is that when women
Come
enjoy
again,
sex,
come on.
more often than not, the men enjoy it better, more.
Of course.
Even. So my way was initially wrong, where I'm like, you enjoy it. And because I know for you, you need it more. For me, I don't have to get there. I'll enjoy it, but it's okay if I don't get there. For you, when you get there, great. I learned my sex life changed drastically when I started to put myself first. The men that were knocking at my, were they leaving? Were they going? Because of that ego, it's like for them, what a wow. So it stopped being performative. For them, they realized that this woman knows what she wants. And the more she's a stripper in the bed or whatever, the more you can see that lust in their eyes. Like, this is now sex. We are no longer anything else. We are just man, and we are metal. We are animals.
Hey, me, you had better be like that, Denga. Tomorrow you're bringing gifts for Wako.
You can be okay, bye, buddies.
Hey,
bye.
So but then now for the other part which we were talking about,
You're such advanced.
for me, it's a dildo, honestly, that helped me. That really took my.
You could just
sex life
focus
to a
on
different
yourself
thing.
in
I was
that
focusing
moment,
on
No, but
myself in that
Pumla, what I'm
moment.
hearing from you is learning your body.
Yeah, you
And
must
it's all
learn
because
your
we
body.
all have thousands of different value systems, different I don't know what, but whatever it is. And I think I would say I would really emphasize that point for the church and saved girlies, because I think that you're conditioned by so many things that you hold yourself back. You're
may not even
preoccupied
realize.
with taking care of this person, and this person is my I don't know what. And remember, sex was, first of all, there is so much you're dealing with. Sex was bad. Suddenly now, why aren't you having sex? Why aren't you having sex? Why aren't you having sex? You already have to deal with that. Now suddenly we are submissive. And yet in the end, this is the tool that, remember, again, creates intimacy. So you must learn your body. You must put in the effort.
But I wonder how a saved girlie would do that. That's what I'm trying to understand.
For me, first of all, I think there is so much power in conversations and in being open.
Conversation.
For me, I am
So I get
open. I am always having conversations. Let me tell you.
Even while you're there, you're like...
There are conversations I've had. I remember at my honeymoon.
I
had conversations. Again, with that, was it with my... I think it was with my maid of honor, right? Where I was explicit in terms of Now, how is A supposed to feel? Is A supposed to, so that you understand like that? Yeah. And then they're like, no. Just know that you understand like to that level.
But that, again, it's personality.
It's personality.
I'm sure we are the 1%.
Yeah, so personality in terms of express yourself, but also to ask the other person. You get, like, not to be shy about it, because I think there's so many people who end up having such bad sex lives. Meanwhile, here, you're there, you're the ideal couple, you're doing what,
That's
but
even
you
more
have
pressure.
such and I think that God created us in such like, for me, I really don't believe in that stuff of you must try before, but what like when I was getting my people were like, Prima, you mean you have never
it's shocking, by the way.
Like you mean you've never, and that you don't know now if you get there. I believe that God created us with an innate, because he's an who made it with an innate desire. You know, even a person who has, you know when it is good, when it is bad. Nobody, you don't have to watch anything. You don't have to have it with 15 people. You don't have, you know whether it was good or bad. So there are people who are there having bad sex, you know, even though they've had it with this one person, but you're either too shy to say, or you feel like there is no, and like, who do I tell? I'm already married. I'm already in the thing. So I think there is help in terms of their conversations you can have. There is material you can read. There are sex therapists you can go to. There are conversations you can have with your spouse. But I think that you must learn.
I like your conversation part as well, because I remember when I left that stage of just physical intimacy, and now I was letting people in. Now my son's grown. Now I'm allowing to, okay, let's see if I can date seriously now. I remember I struggled so much with being open. I think I've said before that I was raised to think vulnerability was a weakness. So I also learned later that much as I was achieving physical orgasms, the heart was not there. So I was having sex. And that is the time that the clarity between sex and intimacy came to me. The difference between the two. That you're having great sex, and it's possible to have great sex, by the way, without linking your heart or anything. It's just there. There are two body parts. They enter from the front or from the back. End of discussion. As said by Bishop X. We know him, we've understood him.
I come from above,
But I remember the first time I allowed myself, and remember, now this other part I'm the one who's in charge of. I feel like my physical pleasure, I have a big role to play in achieving what I really want to achieve. I can't leave it entirely to the man. It's a dance that we do together. But then there's the other emotional part where I think I was never ever really feeling safe with the people that I was with. And I thought I was. You think you are, but you don't realize that maybe you're really not. Until I met the first person who ever made me actually feel
And you never
safe.
forget that feeling.
So I didn't have to take in any effort. If anything, I remember the first time I had sex with him, like I cried. Because I was so embarrassed. I had never let myself go. I didn't understand the orgasm I had. I was only having orgasms from the waist below.
Yeah, but it was.
This time I felt it here. I felt it in my stomach. I felt it in my head. I felt it in my ears, in my nose, in I felt it everywhere. And I was like, what is this? You know, this is how women become stupid and give all their money to me.
Of course,
yeah, that's how I was actually.
She's right. She was like, not me. It can't be me.
Because I used to wonder, why do women become stupid? I was like, this is the
Decomatized. That's what they call it.
This must be what it is. I am here. Oh no.
Honey, do you want some bread after? Do you want some
glucose? Then I learned, this is really nice. And if someone can make you feel safe and you can be vulnerable with them and you're really open, now the sex, it's like me, I've been to all those levels of sex now. So now for me, I realize that now we are at intimacy.
She told us she was a teaching hospital.
She's a world-bound consultant.
As a resident for 8 years. Anyway, enough about me, Joel. I would really like to hear a man's perspective.
Me too.
We've talked enough about women.
Okay, I want you
Joel.
to talk to some men here about something that men don't really talk about. So I was reading, I think that the instance of performance anxiety is up, especially with young guys.
Okay.
And it seems to correlate with the expectations that you have. At a much younger age, you now know, hey, this is how you have to have sex. And it's like all over the place, like it's about pleasure and whatnot. And at a young age, it's not erectile dysfunction because of physical issues. It is here. And now the most dangerous thing is because guys don't talk about it, you end up saying, I'm going to get a pill. So I was at a medical conference and they were talking about Rocket Health. Now Rocket Health was saying the most bought thing. Sildenafil. It is like a version of Viagra. It is
what is it called?
Sildenafil.
Don't
Something
pretend
like
not to
that.
know it now. You say that.
I-
It's okay. We're not going to judge you.
There's a reason.
That you know it.
Yeah.
You've also been a customer. It's
No.
okay. We
Yeah.
are safe space here. You said that.
To the whole world.
But you can't say Sedofi. You say that.
It's going to show up here. Now let me tell you why I avoided that, because I was fortunate enough to talk to a friend of mine when it had happened to me before. Like I wanted to have sex with this girl.
Yeah.
When we got there,
The friend.
yeah, but I realized that
Never get that
she was using a certain form of. We agreed that hey, we're just going to have fun, and first she was like saying things like, "Oh, babe," and then when we go here, when we go for this trip, when we do this, and I was like, "Wait, I think we're on a different." There, and my guy was like, "We are okay. We
All
don't
of us,
want to
wait, so
do anything."
you planned to be with this friend
I
of yours,
was
then you went?
attracted to her.
Oh, they
When we
said
began
calling you
talking
babe.
about it, and then I realized that what we had spoken about,
Yeah.
and in that moment, the way she was acting, I was
Yeah.
like, by the way, I might be misleading her into thinking
Yeah.
this is a relationship.
Yeah.
Just that thought alone.
Oh.
But I was so dumb in that I tried to protect myself and just be like, I know, I think I had a drink. What? Like, I didn't honestly tell her what was going on. And I could see the look on her face. She blamed herself.
And so what was going on, Joel? It was
So
just that
for
you
me,
did,
it's that if I feel that I'm with you, after I experience that thing of we are together, we're in the room, we're looking at each other,
Yeah.
you know when it's not it. And I don't like the feeling of we're having a different experience. Because I know so many times from the women who are my friends, they've said things to me where that guy was so insensitive. And then I can tell from her story that that guy thinks he did the world-breaking thing, because like you mentioned, she's giving him all this
Yes,
praise,
the
hoping that he's
praise.
going to be the one to ask like, are you okay? Did you come?
Yeah,
You guys like,
nothing,
I enjoyed and I
nothing,
left.
no
I was like, I
questions
cannot
asked.
be that person. So I overthought it. And to your point, I felt like this is now not proper because I can't say it to her. I can't be that vulnerable with her. So I spoke to a friend of mine, and I remember telling him like, man, I couldn't. And he was like, well, what kind of weak guy are you? And I was like, what? It was genuinely hurtful to be like, I'm telling you about a moment I had. It's for Alan delivering.
Alan, we thank you for the job that you're doing on this set. You take care of our needs, our production needs. You're our best viewer. You also fill our glasses.
Teaching hospital.
We appreciate you, Alan.
You know, talking about sex, and people was like, Alan, give me some. I was like, let's make more.
Like, please, members.
Joe, we are sorry for distracting you. We are so
I'm going to
sorry.
land the
Bring
plane.
things for the back home. Let him be there. They know me.
He's going to learn you today.
When are you coming? What day?
Hey.
Okay.
He's going to
No,
learn you
because
today.
you are mine. No, so after I spoke to him, I learned that so many men go through this, but we never speak about it. And because we don't speak about it, we end up getting the
Go through
wrong
what? Failure to
performance
Okay.
Yeah,
anxiety.
yeah.
So it is so anything that we hear men laughing at, we are afraid of. That's why when men talk about going to prison, do you know we laugh like, don't drop the soap. Do you know what rape is? Do you know what sexual assault is? And for men, because we are so terrified of it, every time you look at, even when criminology reports come out, they're like, it is definite that only a few men report. Others, because you're taught, guma, be a man.
Yeah.
So because of that, the number of guys buying pills which they're not supposed to be using them, it becomes
I
a
get
psychological crutch. So I would like to say to the men, it is very normal. The thing is, if you're with someone that you can't speak to, that's probably a very bad sign. Because I've never been with someone like you're having a hard time maybe getting into it, and I'll be like, hey, let's try something else. That is not an option that a lot of men think of. They think that as soon as she's naked, I must be wha-pa-pa, let's go. Now, because of that, even older men, I think, are a lot better because they now understand that it's not about me being a superhero. It's not about all these images I've had, but just because you've gone through experience. So the thing I would say for me is being open about, there are times when I've been very vulnerable, I've not been great, have led to me getting the best kinds of intimacy and also knowing my body. I don't think a lot of men know their bodies. They just think, I am supposed to want. The last story, there's a time I had sex when I didn't really want to, and I faked.
But Ange, tell us about men faking
I
orgasms.
faked
I really
it.
want to listen to
Because
I remember he did it to me once.
she was busy
Yeah, they
saying,
did it to you.
Well, you
I
could
was
tell.
so
He didn't
upset.
act well.
He didn't act well.
You know, you have to act like
he did it to you
like
once.
you've
You did it
stabbed
for 8 years.
Thanks.
Please go to the other corner and think about what
The
you
hypocrisy.
say. I'm really not happy with you. Please.
How can you do to me what I do
What
to
I do
others?
for 8 years.
I'm the expert. You can't fool me. I know what you're
Please,
doing.
think about it.
No, you know what you do. You just pretend like you stepped on a nail or something. And then.
You've given them a trick.
But it's not helpful because the more you're doing that,
Tell us
the more,
about that experience.
It's a
so
lie.
it's because I was not really enjoying what she was doing.
Oh.
But she was doing it with such passion. Have you ever seen someone like they're singing at a performance and you're like, it's not good. They're trying really hard, but it's not good. And I could not find myself going.
What was the relationship between you and her?
What is
Friend.
like
What?
They're all friends.
Avoid
I don't know.
friends.
no. This was someone I was actually dating.
Oh, you
this
were
was some. We
dating.
had just early days
Early
of dating,
days.
so it was like one of our first experiences.
Okay.
And before we had been, making out, and it was fire. So now when it got to the point, I was like, it's not really nice, and I felt like I think this is the difference between being a nice guy and being a good person, and I've learned this from women. Like when you try
Being
to be
a nice
nice,
guy and being
nice
a
is
good
you're just trying
person.
to avoid a painful
Yeah.
scenario, just trying to manage the scenario, but you're not being honest. But a good person would say, you know what, maybe let me explain to you so that we don't have to go through this again. It might be painful in the moment. So that's what I regret. I regret the fact that as men, we tend to run back and protect our image. Like our ego is so big. And I've also learned that the reason they were telling a lot of women to go give him his
ego.
is because men are brought up with this. Like, do you know if Andrew ended up speaking to a koja?
He did.
It's not like
He did.
now. You remember
No,
how
but to his koja, not to a
Thank
koja,
you.
like his actual.
we didn't sit together
great.
with him.
Yeah,
Which
which
is
was quite
great.
interesting. Yeah.
By his own volition, or
I
do you think
think
there was
I-
influence from somewhere?
No. I think the koja just started the keb.
Or it wasn't from him.
They also
it
knew
wasn't
that he
him
was.
who went.
No, the koja did it for him. I think because they knew he was NBM.
Okay. You think
So I think the
very-
koja was
okay.
like, oh, mwana wangu.
And I never spoken
so
to a young
yet
man
for
about
you,
sex.
it was you who was trying to learn more and do more.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
someone approached you.
Oh yeah.
Even if someone approached you.
No, for me it was. I don't even know if someone
Don't
approached
you like
me.
having conversations?
Yeah, I just went. Like I was always collecting information.
Okay.
Is anyone here ready to talk to me about sex?
Yeah.
But I want to ask, have you ever spoken to a young man? Like a young man has come to you and said, tell me about this. Because I don't think that's how men...
We are calling Alan old.
No, a younger man to us. Like, because we're at the age
Okay.
where we're supposed to be
You're no longer
someone's
young
kojas.
men, eh?
Yeah, no.
I'm almost
Okay,
40.
okay.
So, but I've only spoken to one person, and that was my nephew.
Okay.
When he
Is it the other one of social media?
Yeah, the one who told me
He
know
creates
that-
nephews.
No, let me tell you.
Every episode. I'm kidding.
this is my nephew. I can't say his name because his aunt will say
don't
something.
say.
But anyway, he was 13 years old and he was in the back of the car talking to his friend. And then he said, my girlfriend wants me to. You blur it out, but he said she wants me to finger blast her. And I had finger blast and I said, oh, this young
13.
So I turned, I was like, what's up? He's like, no, she was like a popular girl in school.
Is this an
And it was
international
much
school?
younger. Yeah, then the
Of
UK.
course it can be.
So, like-
outside countries.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
okay.
they've also been taught about this is where you're not supposed to be touched, all of this. So he's quite familiar with it, but he was saying, I just don't feel comfortable. I just like talking to her. I just like hanging out with her. But he knew the other boys would laugh because they're like, she'll say something and they'll be like, that guy is not ready. So I was trying to tell him, like, it's not worth it for you to do it just to get there. But a man seeking that kind of, hey, tell me about sex, I think it's not, at least in Uganda, I don't think it's a big thing.
Men,
We
you
all
have
just
it really
plan from,
hard.
not because, okay, this is the final message I'll say. You prevent your own pleasure by standing behind fear. And because you're too afraid to speak
You
about what you want,
prevent
you're
your
not
own
going to
pleasure by
have
standing
a great
behind
connection.
fear.
You're not.
He has spoken 2 paragraphs. Now we're still on the other
I'm
line.
telling
You prevent your own
Men
by standing behind me. He's like, whoa, woo. We're still singing.
He has explained 3 other paragraphs. So we are still on
What's
the
that?
main point.
What's that verse of don't let your heart of flesh become a heart of stone?
Oh, that one. It is the one.
And I think because men are hardened so much, thank you. We're going to have to put the verse there. Men are taught to be so hard. There's no way to separate how you act out in the world from how you're going to act in the bedroom. And I think that's where men
good
forget that how you're engaging with her is, they call it foreplay, but I just think you're creating an environment of intimacy.
Yep.
And that's
Oh,
what I've learned,
nice.
that you start by, hey, what are we doing every day? Did I check on you? By the time I come, you want some. After I've not spoken to you, I'm coming with my need, not looking at you as a person. You're a means to an orgasm for me at that point.
Tell the men
which
that
is really
one.
a problem. So guys, there's
Tell
no
the
shame.
men
It's
what
not a
the-
pick me
That's a
thing.
good-
You
those
will
are-
really enjoy.
Yeah.
Said
no, may I
many
have
many
something?
good
But
points.
you had asked Alan something.
If he has ever talked to a younger
If you have
boy.
ever talked to.
Maybe not young man. I say I'll go with young couples.
Oh.
Because when I was still in
Musumba.
my older church, when I was in the Musumba phase, I think
Yeah, no, there's
my-
a phase, a Musumba phase.
no,
Ah,
don't joke. Was in the
What's
Musumba phase.
fathering a
Anyway,
phase?
my wife was in. I think it was before our wedding. So they went to, like, the men took me out, the ladies took her out, just to have a conversation. And of course, my conversation was all about money. It
Okay.
was nothing to do with sex and intimacy and love your partner. It was a money thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you need money to feed your wife. You need money, family. So everyone started talking about how much they have and how whoever had most is the one everyone listened to.
Is the one who won.
Yeah. So when I went back, I didn't really like it. So when I was talking to her, I was like, how did yours go? She was like,
about
something
sex.
interesting happened. It's like someone was talking about the completion, but in Uganda. Like, oh yeah, sex is like good with completion stuff. And then one woman with like 3 kids stood up and said, by the way, I'm going to stop pretending. Like, I know what you guys are talking about. What do you mean by completion?
Yes.
You get? And then people laughed and they realized, like, oh, actually people do not know what this means. Then they
Yes.
started. But this is a woman with 3 kids. Been married for like 6 years.
Yeah.
And has been having it for a long time, but did not know what you were saying.
Yes.
Then that's when we realized that, okay, like maybe, because in our church where like people are getting young, married really young, we realized, okay, like since there was no counseling service, let's start actually talking to them. So we started, that's how we started, like talking to them, then talking became counseling, but we're able to actually open up about this is this, sex is work, it's not just like not just it's a man thing, the woman also feels this, that. So being able to open and share and talk, and that's when I can say I've talked to younger people
No, the church does a really good job. It's
But,
just like
yeah.
it does a good job at that point. Here we're like, no. Then
That's
when the
the
point
It's like
comes,
suddenly you're no, only
but
about
that's so
to. Yeah.
strange. Okay,
That's
so
a problem,
I
yeah.
love that part.
Yeah.
But I don't love the other part. It's like
I agree.
It's like you're trying to tell somebody who you've told that this is red entirely, and now
then
it's
now you're like
programmed. And
green.
remember that in your younger years is when we're like sponges. That's when everything.
It's more foundational.
It's for more foundational. To break a foundation,
I agree. I agree with you, Pumla.
I find it's problematic. Maybe we should explore other ways
I agree.
of doing this. Anyway,
Foundation.
We
my
put-
wife had a foundation when it
what?
came to sex. She had the whole thing with pleasing a man. So me to be able
African
to change that,
okay.
up to now it's even still
It's
in
a
the
process.
It is.
Process.
because sometimes even while it's in the act, one small thing may ick her, and I realize she's icked, but she still wants to go on. And I'm like, my friend, we're not going on.
I can see
when
what's
there's that
happening
thing on
here.
your face. He's like, no, forget about that. Let me, like, now she starts, and I'm like,
As for the voice in this,
and then she's mad, and then after 2 hours she's like, Bandang, I'm so sorry, I don't know what happened. I was like, me, no, because I've been with you for a long time.
Yeah.
I want it to be fun for both of us. Let's
But would
not
you
be,
say in those conversations you have with other men, would you say that that's the majority of
And he had
men?
with couples in his
no, like
Musumba phase.
because they're even still like women, like married women talk to us and say like, I'm not in the mood.
Yeah.
But my husband tells me I'm either going to have it with you or outside.
That's it. So that's what I'm
So
asking.
I'm going
That
to-
level of self-awareness that you just said, where you can recognize that my partner is not okay.
Yeah,
Let me stop, because I know that's what she would really want.
Yeah.
But because of her conditioning, she's not
Yeah.
going. She's just going to continue.
Yeah.
Let us stop and have a conversation. Would you say that the majority of men are like that?
No, they are not.
That's the problem.
even just from listening to ladies.
So that's why I need you guys to talk to men, because as women, we talk
we
to each other a lot.
We talk too much.
We
I
talk
think
too much.
okay.
But
I wanted
men
to
need
mention something
talk
that I
to
got
each other,
in the responses.
so
was
that we
like, what
can
was
build
your?
this thing together, all of us. Guys.
Yeah, it's a joint
Because
thing.
the truth is, guys, you can say that for you, why don't you express yourself? I have a colleague at work and we're having a conversation about sex. And he literally told me that, Pumla, I wish my wife was as expressive as you. And I said, but
Is
we
he
are
ready to
taught
bring about
not
those
to
things?
be. So if you know that your wife is not as expressive, why can't you be the one to lead the conversation?
You know who you're
Women,
with.
men like to cringe at that. We need to talk. Whenever men have the thing of, when she says we need to talk, but why aren't men also saying we need to talk? Because we need to talk many
do.
times.
No, it's
so why aren't we talking?
Until they are hiding behind, they are preventing their fear by hiding behind fear.
you hide behind
Actually,
structures.
it's true. By the way, I really
You know, like whenever guys go to, no, that's not what a man does.
Really, yeah.
When someone says that stuff of that's not what a man does, there's a friend of mine who's having some issues in her relationship, and she said the minute we became husband and wife, it's like other voices came between us. Like as my wife, there's like where's that sentence come from? Who's this abstract wife here who's supposed to be a certain way? You met me, you know me. This is who I am.
Socialization.
So eventually get into those roles, and then we start to punish each other with those roles, which is why I think I understand
punish
submission.
each other with
If
those
you
roles.
submit,
Like,
let's submit one
Conversation
to
deep
another.
things, we need a moment.
But
sorry.
Prima also the way you say, ooh.
We're in
a sex conversation. That is like how you say, ooh.
nothing. By the way, even when I'm listening to podcasts,
that's how she lubricates
when
the
points
conversation.
are
I'm
made, I'm like,
imagining how you,
hey.
ooh, when you're on the other side.
Jesus,
When you're in enjoyment.
Jesus.
Because you're ooh. When we are just
It's almost Christmas.
is ooh. No.
1.5 year, we've really gone into
minutes.
it. No, I just wanted to say
45
something
past.
really quick.
Okay. Very good.
There is something that I understand definitely, that a disproportionate amount of harm has been done to women when it comes to sex. But there is something that, you can easily hurt men by just tearing at their egos. So like there was one, it's funny, but in the abstract, I was just thinking that guy probably knows of the experience of, the guy was talking big. Then when he, I needed my magnifying glass to see the wound. And I used to think, what happens with guys who have micro penises, who are not physically pleasing? Because for men, there's almost this thing of, you can be shamed into improving.
Yes.
Like the compassion of like, who's this? And no man can ever be like, I'm the one with average. We're talking about condoms, and now I've never seen a condom saying extra small.
Yeah.
They can the standard, the smallest is always no more. Then you have to think magnum. So I think we're catering too much to that fear. So men know, I shall stay here. That silent killing, I think, comes out in a repressed form in their relationships. And then, this is the last thing I had at that seminar. They were talking about when you talk to sex workers, they say often a lot of married men end up asking for intimacy.
They do.
Not for just the banging. So like, why? He's like, there's some things I can't say to my wife because I have to maintain this thing of I'm the breadwinner, I'm the here.
Johanna wife is there posting on Instagram, married my best friend.
I know I tried friends.
Nonsense. I want to big bank on your conversation about men and micro penises, micro members.
Micro twist.
And
MSN
we're
is
not
around the
going
world.
to man shame here or anything. So we as PPJ put out on our stories, Instagram. So, by the way, I hope you're following all of us. Because if you're not following
handles,
us, we sometimes
We
have
engage.
conversations, we engage with our audiences, but on our own pages. So please look for Joe, look for Prima, look for Pumla, and
tell
follow
Prima to
us
post more.
on Instagram.
I'm trying.
On our social media. No, you're doing a very good job
are,
here. So we asked a question because we wanted to have a more holistic and inclusive conversation. So that is not just our opinions, but to also get a feel of what the public thinks about sex. So the question we asked was, what happened during an intimate moment that made you realize never again with this person? Prima had a different question. What was yours?
I asked my NBM people, so my not before marriage people, what shocked you?
So are you going to sieve out the ones that made them, that were not nice experiences? Is that what you're going to share with us?
Yes.
Okay. So the whole point of that question was to get the average of why are people struggling in sex? Why are people having bad sex? And the biggest number, of course, most of my responses were from women. Most of them. And for every 10 responses I got, 4 were for micro penises.
Are you for real?
Out of every 10, 4 were. And in the way they said it, you could see that this is something I would have told him, but I never said it. No one said to him, that person, anything because of ego issues. And for me, it just, like, they felt like the question I had asked was giving them, finally, I can tell someone. So even the way they were saying
Let me talk about it finally.
was like, so, choke at that man, how dare he? As if it's his problem, as if it's his fault. And we're not here to man shame. So for me, my issue with that one, because I'm not going to read the comments for that, I just wanted to say that that was the biggest number of comments I got in response to my question of what made you say never again with this person was, oh my God, that penis. People were not saying it in a really nice way. And I always feel, and maybe you guys can correct me, but I've always felt that there are women for whom clitoral stimulation or clitoral orgasms, they prefer clitoral orgasms. That
Yeah,
just
many
meaning
many women.
actually come just from clitoral, and the penetrative does not matter.
Yeah.
And me, I've always thought that instead of feeling shame about your member, maybe the same way compatibility, you look at values. Like when I ask Prima, how do you choose someone to be with, and she says he has to be Christian. I feel like there should be also sexual compatibility, where you say, I acknowledge, maybe men are not able to acknowledge, the men will say in the room, I can't speak for men, but maybe you should be true to yourselves and say, yeah, given maybe who I've been with, maybe I don't have a big member or whatever, let me look for a woman. Let me find myself a woman who prefers clitoral stimulation or clitoral orgasm rather than someone who prefers penetrative sex.
I don't think.
And
I
our
agree
courtship
with that,
dance has to
Pumla.
change.
I don't.
My problem is this thing of it doesn't matter, size doesn't matter.
Because she also can't pretend.
How you use it. For me, I honestly also can't be with someone of under a certain size. I can't. So if you come to
Between
me,
being good and being nice.
Do you think that there's a bit of socialization to that? Because the whole
I'm speaking from my own experience.
No, I'm saying generally. No, I'm saying generally. Like that whole microness.
For guys.
No.
I think for
guys, yeah.
I don't think so. When it comes to for men, yes.
Yes,
But I
for
feel
you
like
and your
for the
experience,
recipient as
yeah.
a woman,
Yeah.
I know that will not give me pleasure.
Okay.
If I am into penetrative orgasms.
Yeah.
It's
Do you think there are solutions? Or if you're into
so my solution for the ones who prefer penetrative orgasms is that you're just not compatible with that man. That doesn't mean that he's any less. That doesn't mean that he's less of a man. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It just means you're not compatible. And that should be okay. It's like a woman saying, for me, I don't like light-skinned men.
Yeah.
There's no shame in being light-skinned.
Yeah.
But that's just not your preference.
Okay, so for me, I have 2 points on that. The first one is, like you said, I honestly believe that there's a lot of socialization. There's
on
so
the
much
men part.
No, in general, on micro, because remember, there are so many women who are not having orgasms, but even those women who are not having orgasms with guys who have big monsieur, they still see a guy with a small monsieur and they judge him. Yet you're not enjoying the other one.
It's like a trained response. Like,
so it is a response that is social. That shows that you are socialized to want a certain size. Maybe when you see it makes you happy. What? So
guys,
for me,
don't get me started on that big member I was with. I limped for 4 days. I limped for 4 days. Not only did I not orgasm, but I limped for 4 days.
You had to.
So let's not go there.
You're in the bathroom for another reason. Oh, I've made a big mistake.
You guys are going to make me forget my point.
There's also a shadow over you. Sorry.
So for me, Pumla, I think that it is a deeper issue. So I think that people are socialized, but I think it's a deeper issue. And both men and women need to search themselves, especially if you end up with a person who has a smaller member, but you, that's why I think intimacy is so important. Because if you honestly were intimate, like you love this person, you can look for ways to make it work. You can do the clitoral things,
so
you can
you're
do
talking
all of that.
To a different group of people. So me, I'm speaking to the person who is able to have sex with people before they get married. So my solution can't work for anyone.
I think her point also works. Yeah, she's
because a lot of people who are having sex before marriage, right? They're having sex before marriage, but even for them, it's also there's an intimacy, there's a connection, right? There's always a connection. Even you can't find just any random man. There's always some form of connection. So if there is that level of depth of a connection, I think that you should confront that socialization and try and see if there is a solution for this thing. Both man and both women, but you must be open.
If it is a socialization.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that both things can exist together.
There
is a socialization and also there is also the other part
where you're just
not fulfilled.
I agree.
So you need to be honest with yourself. Is this really that? But maybe we should start with
intellectually understand.
I think be progressive.
I think be progressive and say that let's start from the point of maybe this is a socialization. Let's see, and maybe let's see how we can get pleasure outside this and whatever. And then if that doesn't work,
then we let it go.
Then we can.
I don't know. Do you want it to come up in conversation before?
Yeah, because
like, do you want me to be like, what's
by the way?
I think it's meant to tell us this part. Because I will.
So let me give you my view.
Are you
on
ever
it.
going to tell a man that your member is not
I hope
membering?
I hope I will not have
Sorry.
that opportunity.
Yeah, we hope.
You know, there was
But
someone.
okay, how?
What I meant was
Would
like,
I think Pumla, I think I
what's-
would am that
what's your
expressive.
name?
Would you?
Prima.
No, I
Favorite
wouldn't.
color?
How are you
Yellow.
mad?
Are you into
Size of-
clitoral? like
You do water displacement. You mean like let's put
Everyone
something.
is- No, but Pumla isn't
That's
everyone
true.
into.
Because I have a mind to
what?
Yeah.
So it's
Everyone
And I
can
think
have
that's where the
like clitoral.
socialization
Yeah,
thing.
but if you're not, you don't like.
Or for some people you
For some
don't like.
people,
It's
you
not
have to go to
enough.
the other, it's not
Okay.
enough. For me,
Okay.
it's not enough.
You know,
Okay.
typically how
For me,
men
it's
and
not
women
enough.
interact, right? He might see you like there's a certain dance we all do, and that dance is full of mystery. Like on the date you appear your best.
Okay.
You're trying to be picked.
Okay.
So I think the thing that guys struggle with is at what point am I going to ruin by saying, by the way, we're about to do this thing? Like because for the one guy who responded to this thing, and I really thank him for responding, he did say that like if your body is a certain way, like if you feel you're overweight, you feel people look at you. And the worst thing is when they do it kindly. When they say this, like like when you'd rather just say it because I know you think it is so difficult that I cannot
already
even
know.
mention it. I
But I
can't
already
say it.
know.
It
But
becomes
I
the
already
elephant in
know.
the room.
Now what you were saying is that the thing that we don't know is at what point do I tell you? It's almost like when guys have this thing of, I want to tell this friend of mine that I like her, and it's like, now you've ruined our friendship. But from the guy's perspective, it's like there's no appropriate time. Like there's no window
No,
that
let me
we've all
tell you,
socially
no, Joel,
understood.
there's a time.
So
People tell themselves that I was raped before. If you have the guts to say that I have been raped, right? I think that there is a level of intimacy, and you know when you reach that level of intimacy, if you've either engaged or we have talked about things that are so deep, I should be able to tell you, Mukwano, you see me here, but according to society.
So it goes back to the thing I was saying. The thing I was saying about how men speak to sex workers about this. We are trying to tell you that you only realize how much you've been socialized as a man when you get into those moments where you can't utter the thing.
Okay.
So I found women are a little bit more
That's true.
ready to speak about these things. Even
Yeah.
when you say,
Okay.
as soon as you put those questions out, I knew it was going to be women.
Yeah,
Men
it's
rarely
women
talk
who
about.
speak.
So I'm just trying to say,
Yeah, mostly.
half the population know how to put on the facade. So that's what that guy was saying. I know how to. I know. Bring you the flowers. I can romance you without having romantic feelings because I know the shorthand is there.
Yeah.
I listen to the music. And that's why I look at women and say, that guy who's doing all of that nice stuff. Wait until you see the real him. When you see him at his weakness, when he's telling you something he's embarrassed about, that is the real chap.
Do you know that on average, sex, like between couples, takes under 2 minutes?
They don't finish the whole song.
Yeah, but
They begin they're warming up.
the whole from start to finish, the average length.
Wait, that's a lot. That's like doing a plank. Can we doing a plank for?
Yeah, I think it's about 2 minutes. But this conversation is how long would you say?
8 hours.
It echoes for a long time after you've done it.
Yet not even near an hour, 20 minutes.
I know, we are here.
But I want us to go through repose.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah,
But
because
he'll
I want
ask
us to
next
close.
time.
No, go
but I
ahead.
want us to go quickly. So I want to say one. We're not going to discuss them. So let us ask the people in the audience, our viewers, to give us
Please.
advice to these people.
Okay.
You had our question.
Yeah. So the question is, so the question is,
Yours.
hey, where's the
Even
question,
Joel
guys?
had a different question.
Oh, you had a different question, Joe?
Yeah, but I'll mention it when I'm reading. Mine was, what are some of the ways that sexual intimacy for you has matured over the years? Because I felt like yours was the experience, hers is never before. I was thinking.
So do you want
how
me
did
to
you
say
change?
mine and then you
Yeah.
read your question and say yours, then Joel
Yeah.
reads his question and says his? Okay, maybe like up to 5.
So mine was my NBM pips. What shocked you? There's someone who just said she was so shocked. I went to the person I said as in how they were like they didn't answer. Then another person I asked them, and then I had like 1,000 NBM means what, my dear? My dear Gen Zs. Or as a friend is Gen C. My dear Gen Zs. NBM means not before marriage.
Which means?
Which no sex before marriage.
Great.
Yeah. Then
bad manners.
someone was like, now that I know what it means, I have no opinion on this one.
Okay.
But now in terms of the answers, there's someone who said, I had the worst honeymoon. Guy wanted sex 3 times a day. The pain.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah. And so we followed this up and they said, the feeling of enjoying. No. And I think when I followed this up for the person 3 times a day, they say that the person acted like they had been starved for so long. So now in that thing, they were just like the entire 7 days. It was like, yeah. Then another person said, the mess. Sex is so messy. They can't stand the liquids. They can't stand the, and I've had, yeah, they can't, yeah. They just said the mess was too much for them.
But I have a solution for that one. You know, as the Baganda girlies, we have this thing called Nkombe. It's here. You can keep it. If for you feel, and by the way, sex is supposed to be playful.
Yeah.
And messy and like going to a park.
Pumla, you just
and
walked around with
being in
Nkombe.
there. Yeah, because we're going to have a sex conversation.
Okay.
So for this episode, I was like, I know one of the problems people are going to have.
Such a lawyer.
Is messy sex.
Because you go to work and in the meeting you're trying to get out
Well,
your pen.
No.
You bring out the Nkombe.
I had my equipment. The way I pulled out the kiss lube.
Yeah.
I had a compartment where I kept, and let me be honest, I stole this thing from my hotel. They have that. The really good hotels have the nicest
quality
face towels.
Yeah.
The nicest ones.
No.
They'll know that I stole it. Anybody, it was Serena.
Yeah. Just saying,
So if you feel like it's messy, get this thing and dampen it.
Yeah.
With water. Dampen it with some water and then have it on the side. But the
Yeah.
problem with that one is that sometimes you can't be spontaneous.
Yeah.
So this is like for planned sex and you know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have it, and if you feel like sex is messy for you, you have it there and you can
Yeah.
clean
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not an issue.
It's interesting. I have a...
For me, I use it for other reasons, but as a Muganda girl.
I talked to a West African who said they had sex in East Africa, in Rwanda especially,
Bless
and they
them.
said they could not believe that that person came with that thing. They were like, it was a whole affair. I was like, come to
Women have a flask and a
Let me tell you.
what is that thing? That thing where you katasa.
The katasa.
Yeah, then
So-
you're thinking like this, then you clean, but I get the sensation after a man has come. Once we use it after the man has come.
Yeah.
So that sensation of cleaning your man up. I know these days, you guys, you go to the bathroom and shower.
just
hand over
Which
the
is
land
great,
title.
Which
Yeah.
is great.
Say,
Yeah.
love
But
me.
now this kind of, after you're done and the guy feels like he's so exhausted, you get that thing, then you clean him, you clean yourself.
Does he shiver, shiver?
Everybody's like, he's like a thing of,
Like, oh.
guy wakes up again.
We're going to have to put 18 on
No, that one is going to have, he's going to buy, what did, from Rocket Health, he's going to buy what? 10 days.
I need a small agent. I need a small assistant.
Now the thing comes back afresh. That is
Anyway, my last
Can
two.
explode with the dust.
So there's someone who was like, they were shocked by the feeling of enjoying it because it had always been forbidden. They really enjoy sex. So I think that
that's
goes to what I had
lovely.
said, yeah. And then lastly, the person said sex is overhyped. Kali, we can do without it. It's nice and all, but the
there are all
hype
kinds of
doesn't
people,
match.
yeah.
That's how they felt. So yeah, those are some of the responses.
They didn't say why it was overhyped.
No, they didn't.
Okay.
So,
Joe, what was your question?
Interestingly, mine was, what ways have your views on intimacy matured over the years?
Okay.
So one was, I used to think the longer the better, but it's where we are both enjoy pleasing each other. You don't necessarily have to reach climax.
Oh, you are in Pumla's 2 minutes.
Sorry, and then the other one was, there's a clear, this is from a very spiritual person, there's a clear difference between having sex and making love, and I understand now it's okay to have both.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Then emotional intimacy for me opened up better sexual intimacy. I don't blame my partner anymore.
Oh.
And the
That's
last one,
growing in Kampala.
the last one is, as speaking of my interests and desires as a former people pleaser was difficult, my partner was patient with me, and it took years. So,
took years.
yeah, I feel like the point I got from this one was, there might be some people like you can be patient 1, 2, 3 times, but your thing is not performing. And I think from this response, it was that if you're in a situation where you know this might take a while, people may carry trauma. Probably it's responsible for you to be with the kind of person who you can trust that you're going to say this to, not be like these other men who are going to some. They say people who think the sex worker likes them are the people who thinks the waitress is actually interested in your jazz. Like she's there laughing and then you're like, I'm so funny, haha. It's a fake thing, but that's how desperate men end up becoming, because they're like, even pretend, make this a fantasy for me. So yeah. And then this was the most spicy one. This one was like, I learned that I enjoy more actually my partner enjoying the sexual experience. So it's like, if my partner doesn't, I don't enjoy.
Is that a man or a woman?
Yeah, it's a man.
It's a man. That's what I said earlier. Yeah. That's what I said earlier. Okay, great. So my question was, what happened during an intimate moment that made you realize never again with this person? First of all, I would like to thank my people. I got exactly 114 responses.
Wow.
And that
You
for
want
me
to know my
said,
number?
how many?
I'm
Five.
kidding.
I got
114. Wow, that's really good.
114. That's how I was able to do the analysis of the other thing. But I'm going to pick like my 6 top. So I just want to thank my followers for trusting me with this information. I wanted to tag you guys, but I felt that maybe if I tag you guys in the
It's too
thing,
intimate,
if it's too intimate, they might not respond.
intimate,
So I'd just like to thank PPJ and Pumla followers for trusting us with such intimate, details. And some of them they gave me stories on stories, but I briefed them because for purposes of the show. So the first one, so I got like my best 6.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read them. Said that the technique was lacking and he was silent as a graveyard. This was a tall-built, handsome Muchiga man.
Wow. Wow.
Muchiga men were just there chilling.
Yeah. They caught a stray bullet.
They caught stray bullets.
Chica Nation enjoying. What did you say?
It's Chica Nation.
I don't know. Now they're going to bring it together to discuss this.
Question: what happened during an intimate moment that made you realize never again with this person? He cried when he was coming. Pumla, real tears, as if he had lost someone. Okay. Yeah.
He's now a heartbreaker. He's out there saying, I shall
know.
Yeah. He pulled out cheap condoms with all the nice options we have in this era. I was turned off. For that one, I'm going to introduce you guys to Kiss condoms.
Never actually. Kiss.
And the other one, so let me talk about this in conjunction. Sorry, Cam, what did you want to say?
No, I'm just saying Kiss.
Kiss condoms. Remember we talked about Kiss lube.
Yeah, and
now the other one we talked about, that one that
is Kiss new?
No,
they've been on the market for a while.
It's been around for a while. What's new, I think, is the lube.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've been around for a while.
The pocket has become wet, you guys. But now,
at this
did I leave
rate,
it open? I left it open. I think.
Sorry.
It has lubed everything. Yeah. So
I can't deal with you.
This thing is never going on YouTube.
And said she was dry. So another one I got a lot was that there's a man who said she was so dry, and then there was a woman who said he couldn't make me wait.
Yeah.
So now I want to tell you, in my experimental phase, when I was also using condoms, I had a problem with latex. So most condoms and the cheaper condoms have latex. Latex is like that. It's a powdery substance that they use even in hospitals, like gloves. You will smell, they smell a certain way. It's a latex. It's a protective foam and it's powdery. So imagine powder and wetness. So they don't mix. That's why when men say that we don't want to use condoms, because it's not giving you a natural feel. There's like a barrier on the condom.
I tell these ones who are with
now the
friends.
latex-free condoms are expensive. They are really expensive. Imagine you want to have sex, but you have to spend 15,000 shillings on a condom. So it doesn't make sense. So what I learned about the lube, so the time when I was using lube mostly was when I was using the condoms. At that time when I couldn't afford latex-free. But for you to use the lube and condoms together, the lubricant must be water-based. They are silicone-based and they are oil-based. And those are the ones where you get a feel. And it's not feeling like the real thing. I'm going to show you this one, guys. We experimented with my girl, Prima. You see how it's like the real thing. But where's the camera? Where's the camera? Are you seeing? Are you seeing? Are you seeing?
We are seeing.
This episode my father is going to watch.
It is like real. Like when it feels like, so you feel like it's actual wetness, like natural.
What is?
That is what
Pumla,
the kiss is like.
To that point.
I think it for you.
What will Alan?
So
the time is coming frame.
You doing this kind of thing like
as for this Muslim man who advises couples, you see.
Like that. And that thing, it increases sensitivity as well. So people who are using condoms, this thing is only 4,000 Uganda shillings. So you buy the Kiss condom, Kiss is 1,500.
Wow.
Imagine in this
per each.
And there are 3.
Oh.
There are 3 in each. So these are 3 rounds.
Don't be like, come out.
1,500. It's even below the cost of living, the poverty line.
I was waiting. I knew as soon as you said below, I was like
below the poverty line. The poverty line is 1,500 shillings by the
Yeah.
Now imagine you have condoms and you have lube. Now this is 5,500 and you're having a great sexual experience.
Unstoppable.
Safe.
Yes,
safe.
And you're safe and you're in enjoyment because what did we say about this one? Sensitivity. Now you are enjoying a good time. You're good. So the people who are having problems with vaginal dryness, and you're saying she was not dry. Even me, I've ever been with somebody who I don't know what was happening.
You were not responding.
I just wasn't responding physically, but we didn't use the lube. But I also wasn't connected to him emotionally, so I just let him go. But someone else who I know
around
went
like
there,
Cain with the mark of
he
the
made
beast
her waters
after.
pour.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes there's a compatibility issue also. So,
Yeah.
So guys, can you please explore the Kiss Lube? It is gentle.
No,
it is
interesting. You know the thing that
it feels like the real thing.
The thing that I was saying about lube before was I asked somebody about lube and their feeling towards it, and this particular person said that they felt like a guy, right? He said that it's artificially slippery. So they felt, and I think that's what you were saying.
Were they using the Kiss Lube?
No.
It cannot be Kiss Lube.
And that's what I'm saying, Pumla, that now that one is probably
The older
silicone
one.
based.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in terms of
That's
you
most
also need
likely
to be-
silicone
Yeah, so you
based.
also have to think about the product.
Yeah,
that-
and also, and the bigger reason why it should be water-based for condoms, especially, is the other based ones are a little harsh, so they tear the condom.
Yeah.
So water-based is what is safe.
Yeah.
When you're using a
Yeah.
condom.
Yeah. And they said
the other
information
ones
is
are for
great, so-
live.
Yeah.
But the water-based specifically, because it seems so natural. And if you have a problem, again, like Prima's friend, about messiness and what,
Nkumbi.
just clean.
Right.
And everything is off, nothing brand new.
Now
Ready for you two more
Yeah.
who said, he illustrated how I should cry in vernacular. He said I should say, Tata, you're naiyo.
Tata chichi.
You're naiyo.
You're naiyo.
Everything, it is yours. This is your property. Everything is yours. So he was guiding the girl on how to respond in vernacular.
Alan's face. Alan does not know. I tell you, told us he's a master after he watched.
The last one, which I found was something maybe we could have talked about. He's so dramatically grossed out about my periods. Periods are my reality every damn man.
Grow up.
Yeah, grow up. I think so too. Oh, that was an interesting conversation.
Can we just finish?
Yeah.
And just go around the table?
Yeah.
Just say yes or no answers.
All right.
Okay. Pumla,
Do you?
Pumla.
Yeah, quickly, very quickly. No explanation, just say
Okay.
yes or no. Are you open to having your sex during your periods?
No.
No?
Yes.
Yes? No?
Yep.
Yes? Yes? Yes. Okay. So we have two no's and they are female.
Yeah.
We're not giving explanations. This is us, PPJ. We are raw, we are raunchy. We say it as it is, guys.
And we are real.
And this is a safe space. So even when you come to the comment section, you must understand that we come from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And our values are different. Our belief systems are different. Prima has given us a belief system that is owned by more religious people, more traditional people, and it's great.
I've
There's
had
no
traditional.
wrong. Yeah, because even the traditional
I care for
people
you.
take on. So I feel like we've been able to tackle different perspectives, and the reason why we asked the question also was so that the public would give us their views. Yeah, so please let us know in the comment section. Two things. One, actually many things. All the questions we've asked. Please answer for us.
I don't know
You
the
can
other
write
answers
one,
of their
two,
of the
three.
bots of
Interact.
names.
Yes.
Yeah,
John
and
Paul
please,
of our those names.
Those
So.
bots, please don't
those ones
encourage.
we're going to
So yeah,
work on.
if you're watching this, if you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to What the Theory. Please share, please like, please engage. You know, these are conversations. We seem like we were laughing here, and there are conversations that
Very serious.
but they're very serious, intimate, personal conversations which will help you not only in your self-development, but also build healthy relationships, healthy coupling, healthy bonding, and which is what we want for you, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely.
so get into the comment section, let us know. Just answer all the questions we've asked today on the show. Answer, give us your responses to them, especially that last one. Would you have sex in your periods? Are you okay with it? Yes or no? So we've just had a really rich conversation, an intimate one as well. So let us know in the comment section. Let's engage. Let us know what your sexual experiences have evolved into, what formed the ideas of what you thought sex was like in your initial sexual encounters. Let's share. This is a safe space. It is.
Just realize we look like a couple. All three of us. Nothing wrong with that.
Until next time, this is
PPJ.
Oh, God. Okay.